It's Community Replay Review, April 2021. What's up, guys? How you doing? Can you hear me? Can you see me all right? Is everything all good? A little bit of reality showing that way, but that's all right. How are you guys? It's been a week. How's you guys' week been? Mine's been great. Put up some curtain rods, you know. Got one blackout curtain right there. Need to get another one for right there, and then maybe you won't see any of that stuff anymore. But that's all right. For now, we'll be all right. It's very nice outside. It's very hot. I might even go outside today. It's beautiful. Maybe I'll go for a walk after. It's only 1 o'clock. It's beautiful out. It's about to be summer. It's incredible. I'm in a great mood. I had some oatmeal. I had a coffee. I finally got coffee cream when I was waiting to go live. Now I got tea and I got water. Right? What else do I got? I don't know. Got my phone. Got a lot of stuff. It's really awesome. Walk review. Yeah, maybe I'll think about next week's episode. Last week was Undead week. We did Cripplord against Human. That was fun. That was skewered towards, lower level players. We went over 3 different strategies, 5 different replays. We talked about Cripplord. A lot of people were surprised, like, oh, you can go Necrowagon against Human. And yeah, you can go Necrowagon against Human. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Next week will be Night Elf week. I think I'm going to do Foggy against Happy, Mass Dryads. That style that he's been doing and he's been pretty successful against Happy with. I think that's what I'm going to do next week, which should be fun. Glass Cannon, there's a long while, I think since like the 10th grade I've drank my coffee black. But twice a week, I'll do a little bit of brown sugar and some cream in my coffee. And then I'll go back to black for the rest of the week. I switch it up. And if I get a coffee from somewhere, like if I go like, Tim Hortons or something, like in Canada or McDonald's, I'll get a double-double. There. But at home, yeah, 5 days out of the week, it's black. Yeah, so next week's Night Elf, and then week after that, we have an interview, which I will announce on Night Elf Day, so I'll announce in 7 days, because I want to have time to confirm with the person, but so tune in next week, at least for the start of the stream, or at least watch the beginning of the VOD on YouTube, and you'll know who the interview is for. With. I'm going to do my homework, and it's going to be, it's going to be hard to top this one. It's going to be hard to top this guest. So that should be a lot of fun. And then that'll be it for April. Then we'll be into May, right? And that has 4 episodes in it as well. So that'll be fun. Okay. Anything else I need to go over? Oh, we had a patch, right? We did talk about the patch notes, I think, at episode 11. If you go back there, you can watch those patch note reviews. A lot of them went through. The panda's a lot stronger, so we're going to see some changes probably against Human and against Undead with that panda. Maybe, we're going to have some panda second against orc action. Maybe Human will start going panda second sometimes. More in Human mirror, more against orc. It was relatively common back in the day. Not overly common, but it was something that you saw. So excited to see what sort of games, what sort of meta changes we get. And then once we see some changes in the meta, then I'll find some replays and I'll analyze them. But until then, we're going to still be doing replays from the old patch until there's some tournaments in this new patch, which hopefully by next week's episode, I'll have some replays to go through. But for today's episode, I had to patch back. For all these. So this will be in the previous patch. There will be nothing in the new patch. But next week will be. And unfortunately, because I had to patch back, there'll be no overlay, but we're going to make some changes to how we're going to do it today with the lacking of the overlay. Because everything breaks. Everything breaks when you have to patch back. That's just how it works. But we're going to make do. And generally, when you're forced to do a corner, when things break, when things don't work, it makes for innovation and it forces you to be creative. And I think today's episode is going to be a little bit special for that reason, a little bit spicy. So it should be cool. But today's episode is, of course, as we go to our notepads, everybody, Community Replay Analysis for April 2021. So how's this episode going to be different today? Well, we're going to do 6 replays. 6 replays today from the community. I think I got about 3 from my email and 3 from the Discord. If I missed your replays, just send them to me again or send me a new replay and say, hey, you missed my replay last month. and then I'll put you at the top of the queue. And of course, we have our Patreon, which we can get, replays priority there. If you're one of the patrons, I'll do your replay right away. But this is going to be a bit different today because we have no overlay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch every replay with Fog of War off from the player's perspective. What do you guys think about that? I think that might be an interesting thing. So what I can do is we can see what you see, right? And we'll watch it from that perspective, right? Good, that's not broken. Good, and we'll watch it from your perspective, and I'll talk about, oh, you scouted this. Well, maybe you should react this way, and then we'll look in your base. Oh, you didn't react that way. Oh my God! So I think we'll do that because we don't have an overlay. So I think that's a good way to do it. And this is also how you should analyze your own replays. You should do them from both perspectives. You should do them from your opponent's perspective, and try to get your head sort of in his. And think, what would he be thinking? Why is he making this move here? And then you should also do it for your own perspective and be thinking, oh, how could I have reacted to this information that I gained from scouting? And then, of course, watch it through both perspectives. And then you can be the eye in the sky and you have all the information. And then you can know exactly, definitively what the right answer is. But we're going to do it from one perspective today. But I encourage you to do it from all three. And take time on your replays. Take time. If there's a replay you lost and you don't know why, take time. Watch it 5 times. Watch it 5 times. Don't watch it so many times that you don't go back to practicing if you're looking to improve. Always go back to laddering. You don't want to spend too much time analyzing your replays because then you don't have any time working on the mechanics. And you got to click stuff accurately. You got to be able to press the buttons. You got to have 600 APM, or what are you doing this for? So always get back to laddering. Don't spend too much time analyzing your replays. But if you're going to analyze them correctly. Speaking of replays, you can send them to me via my email, which is right here for next month. Carson at backtowarcraft.com. I got a lot of emails there. Very much appreciate it. Or you can join our Discord, which you can go to backtowarcraft.com. You can scroll down to the bottom. You can go Discord, and then you can go to the TheoryCraft channel. You can put them in there. Or you can find my Discord, or you can find my Twitter. You can message me there. A lot of ways to get me your replays. And one other quick little tip for you guys, too. If you want to know if I did your replay one month, like say you send me a replay, sometimes I miss them. I'm sure I've missed replays this month that just got lost in DMs or something, which I'm sorry for. But if you're not sure if I did your replay or not, quick tip. You go to the YouTube VOD for the community replay episode. You scroll the description, and in the timestamps, I'll put all the people's names. I'll put you versus your opponent, and your name will be there. So if you see your name down there, that means I did your replay. If you don't see your name down there, then it means you should send me the replay again. Send me the replay again. Say, hey, you missed my replay last month. What gives? What gives? And I'll either tell you, well, because you sent me a 6-hour-long game on Twisted Meadows, and, that's double the length of this show. Or I'll be like, oh, sorry, I missed your replay. Right? I missed your replay. Are there any questions before we talk about our first replay? Are there any questions? Comments? Concerns? Offers? I don't know what else. What else can you guys do via text in a chat? Which units are stronger? 10 archers versus 10 headhunters? Tier 1 versus Tier 1, no upgrades? I think headhunters. Yeah, headhunters. Certainly. A preferred way to name your replays, what I would love is if you write your replays like this. So your name dash race versus race dash MMR, like that. If you name your replay like that, so I know what your name in the replay is, first of all, because sometimes people will message me a replay, and then their name in-game will be different from like their Discord or their email, so I'll have to message them back and be like, wait, what's your name in-game? And then if you could put what the matchup is, and then just put your MMR. And that'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. And some people write me long write-ups, which is great. And if you send them to me publicly, like if you send them to me, for instance, in our public Discord channel, then I'll read them out on the show. But if you send them to me in like an email or a private message, I'll read them myself and I'll use them towards the analysis. But I, won't get read out on the show because it's private messages. But if you send them to me publicly, I'll read them out on the show. So if you have anything to say, any shout outs to people, send me the messages. Send me them in the Discord, and I'll and I'll read them out for you, which I will do for a few people today. Serious question, how good are the aura items compared to level 1 hero auras? Well, they got changed recently, right? I believe they are... I can't remember all the stats off the top of my head. Before they were 0.75 out of 1. 1 being a level 1 of that hero's aura. Now I believe they're 1/2 of a level 1 aura. Right? I believe is how it is now. But those are all in the patch notes. You can, if you go look up the most recent patch notes, you'll be able to find them. Can we see a TheoryCraft episode for a 6-hour TM replay? Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. What shampoo do you use? What am I using? I forget, dude. It's always different. It's ever changing. 75%. I thought they are now 1-to-1. No, I think they got nerfed, not buffed, as far as I know. Boop, 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 boop. All right, cool. It's bad to read out a discord.gg web address. I'm not sure what that question means, but the Discord addresses are always public, unless the Discord itself is private. Okay, replay 1 will be... I just do these in order that I got them sent to me, generally, you know. So here's the order. The first one will be an Orc against Undead. On Autumn Leaves, the player will be Break. He will be the Undead player. And, yeah, he says low MMR, I'm 950 MMR. I put him to 1,000. And he says the villain is 1,100. He says the quick game. So good. Thank you, Break, and we'll get into your replay. We'll get into your replay if there's no further questions or comments or concerns. Have some tea first. All right. Okay, replay 1. Loading up into replay 1. And remember, we're going to watch it from the player's perspective. So we're going to watch it from the Undead's perspective. And here we go into replay 1. Brace yourself. There's no overlay. But here, of course, I'll put the name of the player, their MMR, their race, and then here is our schedule. We'll have 6 replays. Red, we're on the first replay. Makes sense? Here we go. All right. Are you looking for standard or is some weird stuff allowed? Weird stuff is absolutely allowed. Yes, Starship, we're watching some community replays, which you should send me some replays too. I mean, I might not be able to give you too many tips, but still be good to have some like super high level replays in here. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Send them my way, dude. Send them my way for next month. All right. Autumn Leaves, not a map I'm entirely familiar with. I do have it unvetoed on ladder, but you know, a lot of people have it vetoed, so you don't get to play it too often on ladder. So a little bit unexperienced, but we can talk a bit about it. Of course, there are the easy expansions right here. This is the same creep camp as Echo Isles, if you're familiar to that. With that, and then there's of course this expansion, which is similar, if not the same, close to the lab on Terranus Stand. Right? You of course have your shops here, shop here, then you got your lab, and then you got your mercenary camp. Right? And there's 2 red camps here. This has a granite golem and 2 big frost wolves, and then green camps sprinkled around. Pretty standard map, and then 1 orange camp here with some poison dudes. Pretty standard, pretty standard. All right, so we're against an Orc opponent. I would expect, because this is how ladder works, Farseer Headhunters is what I'm expecting. Death Knight, respect, no Cryptlord from our good friend. Maybe we'll have a Cryptlord replay today, though. We'll have to see. Ted Fiends, pretty standard. The Acolyte. Let's pay attention to what we scout here, right? Because remember, we're only watching it from our good friend Break's perspective. So let's see what information he gets, and let's see how we're able to react to it potentially. We might not be able to do anything with the information we get, but let's pay very close attention to the amount of information we're getting from scouting, and also what that information is. So we see the altar flashing. I clicked on it. It's a Farseer. But let's see if the Acolyte sees the Farseer, because of course this would mean you're map hacking.
Summoning is complete.
All right, let's see. There we see the Farseer. Good. Acolyte moves back. We don't know yet, is it grunts or is it headhunters? We'd, of course, see neither yet. We might see a grunt, but it would be a little bit behind the Farseer.
Our forces are under
DK
attack.
comes out. Get the critter. Creep this. Nice. Now I'd suggest to at least creep to level 2 while scouting. What are some things we need to be scouting for as the Undead here? Well, we need to be scouting. Ideally, we'd send this Acolyte back in. We do want to lose it eventually with Ted Fiends so that our supply allows us to get that extra Fiend, right? So we're not stuck on 28 out of 30, so we're on 27 out of 30 in the future. So we do want to lose this Acolyte, but we want to lose it with purpose. We'd ideally want to scout, is he going for Headhunters or Grunts? Is he trying to clear out an expansion early? Because very often you'll see even a tier 2 expansion from a Farseer player. In the future, we also want to be scouting, is he going for tier 3? Is he going for Tauren Chieftain or Shadowhunter second? Right, and where is he expanding? If he is, we want to be clearing both of these. So these are all things we really want to scout against Farseer. It's very important. We can do so with this Acolyte, of course, that we said we want to lose, and Skeletons. Right, so there's lots of information we need to be scouting for. So what I really want to see from Break is not necessarily anything crazy strategically. He's going Ted Fiends. You can either creep to level 2 and then go aggressive, or you can creep to level 3. You could do whatever you want. But what I definitely want to see is him scouting to gain information, because it's very important against Farseer. Another way of reacting to this Farseer is to probably get an earlier Nerubian, just in case he runs into your base, especially if you're not an extremely high-level player, you're not very confident defending back at home, your scouting maybe isn't perfect. I would recommend just blindly get this Nerubian when you see a Farseer, because it's better just to play it safe, because if you tech and you lose 2 Acolytes because you were greedy and you didn't build this Nerubian, that's a lot worse than just building it when you see a Farseer, right? What MMR is this? It says right here, 1,000. 1,000. Acolyte could be gaining information, but I would expect to see, since the Farseer isn't already harassing me, him creeping this. Let's take a little sneak peek, and let's see. Is he creeping this, or is he creeping this? He's probably at one of these 2 places, I would imagine. Okay, he is creeping this. Right, so if the Acolyte ran up, we'd gain this information. We'd know that guaranteed he's not harassing us, and we can be a little bit more greedy, right? Little sneak peek. Little sneak peek. Glass Cannon 420 says, I always make a room because I suck at defending quickly, and that's absolutely the right call. Don't overestimate yourself. Just build the Nerubian. Just build the Nerubian, man.
Upgrade complete.
Gonna get level 2. As I said before, we can creep level 3. For instance, we could creep this afterwards, and then it would be like 1 green camp, like this bad boy, for level 3. Or we can go on the aggressive. But we should definitely be seeing what the Farseer is creeping. We need to know, is he creeping straight to level 3? Is he clearing out an expansion in the future? Or is he coming to harass us, right? You might hear a chainsaw, but that's alright. It's only going to go the whole day, probably. But those are the things we need to scout for. Losing the Acolyte, but again, we could lose this Acolyte with purpose. We scouted the hero, which is great, but we still don't know, is it Headhunters? Is it Grunts? Is there tier 1 expansion? You never know, right? What's the tier 2 tech? We could gain so much more with this Acolyte, and we could be gaining even more by sending the odd skeleton. I would even recommend buying another rod here. He looks like he's going over here to maybe creep one of these, probably this camp, and then maybe this camp or this camp. But yeah, buy a second rod and keep scouting. Consistently scout. This is something you need to do as an Undead player. Always send these skeletons just everywhere on the map. Watch a 120 or Happy replay, you'll see they do that all the time, and they do that really beautifully. That's the main thing most Undead players could improve on.
Upgrade complete.
Alright, 4 skeletons. Looks like we're going towards the green camp. Our tech, all the macros good. We got double Nerubian. Oh my god, this might have been a mistake. Maybe he accidentally control-clicked both of these and upgraded both, but, you know, obviously, you don't need 2 Nerubians, guys. You don't need 2. You don't need 2. They are good, but you don't need 2. You don't need 2. Other than that, everything very, very well done so far. The only thing you could make an adjustment with, just better scouting. And notice you have no charges anymore. So one, what does this mean? Well, if you want to go aggressive, you wouldn't really be able to do so because you don't have a rod. And two, if you want to creep another camp after this, it's going to be very hard to do that because you don't have another rod. So I would always recommend getting that second rod very, very early from the shop when you pass by.
Upgrade complete.
Always get that second rod. There are niche situations where you'll only buy one rod, but this isn't one of them. This isn't one of them. All right, we got illusions. We can use that to creep. It looks like we're going to. Also, illusions, again, you could be using them to scout. What would we scout right now? I already said there are some improvements we could have made to the scouting, right? We could have used this acolyte better. Maybe even just suiciding into the main base. We could have used skeletons from here. Where would these skeletons or this illusion be going? Well, one, they'd be scouting, has he crept this? Has he crept this? And then we'd be clearing like green camps to see where's his Farseer at right now. Because it's very important as an undead player against orc to know where the orc is. Why do you need to know where the orc is? So that if he goes to creep aggressively on you, you can bully him off camps. Like if he's trying to creep this right now or this right now, and you scout it, then you can fight him there. And like say there's headhunters, you can pick them apart, stuff like that. It's very important to not respect the orc. And in order to not respect him, you have to be able to scout him and know where he is. So then you can, you know, by knowing where he isn't, by knowing where he is, disrespect him, you know, just attack him. Don't let him creep everything. Don't let him creep in your face. There's too much respect given to orc players by undead. Go watch Remo play me in the 100k show match. Remo didn't respect me and he owned me. That's how you do it. That's why I said at the end of that match, oh, I'm very impressed by Remo. He knows what he's doing because he didn't respect me at all. He wasn't scared. He didn't build double Nerubians, right? He didn't just turtle. He pushed. He didn't allow the orc to creep everything on the map, right? Very important. But the first step of doing that, of that playstyle, is knowing where the orc is. That's the first step, always. But still, using the illusions to creep this, going to get level 3. It's very good. You're going to get level 3 by the time your Lich comes out. And then I would recommend going aggressive, right? Going aggressive, taking these camps from the map. Again, scouting the expansion. What I don't want to see is this Lich to come out and break to be creeping something like this. Or something like this. I don't want to see the Lich come out and break be passive. I want him to either take a fight, bully the orc off creep camps, or creep very aggressively. Because you got your Lich, you got your level 3, you could even get Burrow, right? You're going to have your first statue soon. But so far, so good. Again, the only thing that's been missing so far, just the scouting. Just the scouting. Lich is out. Lich, again, should have grabbed that second rod. When you're getting into 3-4 rods, then you're starting to spend a lot of gold, right? But that second rod's certainly an investment worth making. Now the illusion scouting. But look, what did I say I didn't want to see you do? Creeping something passively, because you got level 3 Death Knight. You have your Lich out. You could get Burrow. You're going to have your first statue soon. If you had another rod, you're definitely in a good shape to not necessarily take a fight to win the game. But you're in good shape to like bully the orc off of a camp and maybe win that fight. Right? Whereas now you're giving him all the space in the world. Your illusion, you might not see an expansion here, but you're certainly going to see a level 3 Farseer. You're going to see, you know, tech buildings coming up, and you might be seeing a tier 2 expansion. Right?
Our forces are under attack. Summon is complete.
All right, we're checking the base. We don't know what hero it is. Could be Shadowhunter or a Torn Chieftain. We see Shamans coming out. Oh, okay. 3 tech buildings. 3 tech buildings. What does this tell us? We have 2 options because of 3 tech buildings. It's not a big thing. It's not a big thing, but it is a little thing. Does anyone in the chat sort of have an idea what I'm thinking when I see 3 tech buildings? What am I thinking? It's very simple. It's a very simple idea. Liquid Oxygen says no expo. Very good. Nice. Sick Boy doesn't have much supply. Not going to tier 3 soon. says DKG. Attack, says Blunt. Rush tier 3, says Glass Cannon. That's a big investment, says Residues. He's opting for late game. Shaman, Torn, and Kodo. Good, good. A lot of ideas which are all absolutely correct. I'm thinking he's invested a lot into tech. He's certainly going Spirit Walkers. He's either going Raiders or Kodos. Let's get a sneak peek. Okay, it is a Kodo, and it is Spirit Walkers. And he's also going to get, well, it's either Shamans or Witch Doctors. I would expect Shamans. And he's not going tier 3, right? Quite yet. This means we have a little bit of a power spike that he doesn't have because it's going to take him a little while to get online. He's not going to have his tier 3 on time. He's not going to have as many units because he's invested into 3 tech buildings. Right? He's got to wait for Spirit Walkers to get online with Adept. He's got to wait for Ensnare if he's going for Raiders. He's got to wait for Shamans with Adept. He's got to wait for a lot of things before he's at his strength. This means 2 things. This means we can either push with our tier 3 that's now finishing, with a 3rd hero, with Orb, with a single Destroyer, or we can use this timing. This is very important, that as an Undead player, you don't feel you just have to push and end the game. Or we can just expand, because we're going to be stronger sooner. If he hadn't done this, if he had gone just, say, only a Spirit Lodge, and he was going Headhunters, and he just had Shaman Headhunter, or just a Bestiary, and just had Headhunter Raider with a Kodo, and was going tier 3, by the time we push, he's going to be tier 3. You know, he might have Torn Chieftain level 2. He's going to be very much ready to fight. But in this case, we're going to be stronger than him. So we could do a couple of things with that, right? I would say the safer is to just expand on tier 3. We could also go kill burrows. We could do both even, right? But the fight we would take, we would probably town portal away from. We've confirmed now it's a Shadow Hunter and Grunts. Imagine we have a Destroyer and we go fight with 1 Destroyer soon. Right? The Slaughterhouse is a little bit late, but imagine we get our single Destroyer, we go take a fight with Orb. It'd be incredible for us, because what is he going to have? We've confirmed he has Grunts. He's got a Kodo, no Raiders yet. He's got no anti-air other than a Kodo and like 2 heroes. 1 Destroyer, devour that Spirit Link. We'd be very much in a good spot as he builds an Acolyte. I imagine to do the latter, go for an expansion. We'd be very much in a good spot in this game to be more aggressive. And what's the first step of being aggressive? Well, knowing where our opponent is. So that we can bully him off creep camps. Maybe this, let's see. Okay, no, he's over here. Right? We can bully him off these creep camps.
Our forces are under attack.
And then take fights because he doesn't want to let us get all the creeps, right? I expect to see a 3rd hero. Pit Lord or Dark Ranger, both acceptable. I won't argue which one's better here. I think a lot of people would have an argument for both sides. But either of them, I would recommend getting, you know. But this game has really just been a matter of giving too much space to our opponent, giving too much respect to our opponent, right? I think that's been the main thing so far this game. Notice how the creeping has worked out. Orc is happy just to creep the whole game. Undead isn't necessarily, because if Orc gets high-level heroes, if they're allowed to get their strong tier 3 army with everything, if they're allowed to get to the point where they can just put down a tiny and have an immediate expansion, Orc is always happy to be left alone. Undead necessarily isn't happy to be left alone in this matchup, or maybe even in any matchup. Undead wants to fight. Undead doesn't want to let their opponents get strong. You imagine Undead against Human. What happens if you leave the Human till 9.5 minutes? You're dead. Similar thing against Orc, right? Similar thing. Too much respect this game. I think the expansion's a good play, but the expansion should be coupled with some aggressive plays.
Summoning is complete.
But now we're tier 3. We have Destroyer form, which we got after these 2. Our expansion's up. Again, we should be scouting. Does our opponent have an expansion? He's been very passive too. He could have tinied.
Summoning is complete.
Trying to get Lich level 3 would be great here. And what we should be doing, because we saw what his army was already, we saw he was going for walkers, we know he's going for some sort of a caster, and we know he had I forget if it was 3 or 4 grunts, but it's not important. We know that he had those things. We know that his anti-air was low. I want, when you get in a fight break, double destroyers popped. Pop this one, devour mana here, pop the second one, fight with double destroyer. Behind it, macro another statue. The third, fourth statue, so you have 2 destroyers in the air. That's what you should do when you get into a fight, and there's no way you lose against the army that we saw here earlier. Right? Yeah, back to Warcraft in the chat. Back to Warcraft. Says you aren't bad for 1k, just practices with tweaks and you'll go up. Yeah, like this is not bad at all. The expansion play I think is really smart. The creeping has been good. The macro has been good. But there's just been too much respect. And we'll see, like, this game is now going to come down to probably one fight. Right? Probably it's going to come down to one fight, and if you mess up, nice item, if you mess up that one fight, it's really rough. Say you have your hero out of position, it gets ensnared, hexed, and killed because there's a Shadow Hunter, the game's over. We don't want the game to be that simple. Alright, and here's that one fight, possibly. Okay. And knowing that this may be the only fight in the game, because you imagine a world, if we either win or lose this fight. If we lose the fight, our expansion's dead, our army's dead, we probably lose, because the orc most likely has an expansion. If we win this fight, either we kill the whole orc's army and we win, or he town portals out, then we immediately run. We either kill the expansion here, or we kill the expansion here, and we win the game. So the game is really coming down to this one fight right here. Even if we both don't trade armies, even if we force him to town portal, we can still just go win the game by virtue of killing his expansion, because ours is going to be very safe with double towers. Right? So this fight's very important. So how do we win this fight? How do we guarantee that we win this fight? What are some steps we can take? What are some steps? We have 4 fiends, 2 statues. We have 80 supply capacity. We have our orb. I think there's probably about 4 steps we could make. Back at home, what are we building? Building an A-bomb. I would recommend this to be, and it's hard to macro perfectly in fights. Don't get a fiend eaten. That's great to do. Yeah, for sure. The first thing I would recommend doing is go get a 3rd hero. You have time. You can, if he goes for your acolytes, you can run them away. If he goes for a ziggurat, you can lose that. That's fine. If he's going for your necropolis like he is, that's fine. You can buy yourself 30 seconds to run to the tavern and buy a Dark Ranger or a Pit Lord, and then you can even TP in. So that's the first step. I would get a 3rd hero. You have the gold, you have the supply. I would be building a statue instead of an abomination and another fiend, right? I would maybe, is there another invuln? I don't know. You may have already bought it, but if there is one available, I'd get a 2nd invuln. You have gold for all of these things. If he is going to attack your necropolis like he is, I would build a shop right here to prepare for the fight, and I'd upgrade a Nerubian. Right? I'd upgrade a Nerubian. And then, when I start the fight, if I'm town portaling in, again, I'd morph this destroyer, devour it with this, have 2 destroyers in the air, a 3rd hero, 4 fiends. I would immediately probably Coil Nova the Raider, right? You kill the Raider, and then I'd focus the Walker with mana. I'd kite back, I'd devour the Spirit Link, and there's no way the Orc wins this fight. There's just no way. 2 destroyers in the air. You Coil Nova the Raider. This Raider is already dead from a Coil Nova. Nothing else has to be done. The Wolves are useless. The Grunts are useless. There's only anti-air in the way of 2 heroes and a Kodo. Your expansion is safe. You run across the map and kill his expansion. Let's have a sneak peek if he has an expansion. He's building one right now. It will not have paid off. There is no way the Orc wins the fight if we take these precautionary measures before the fight. Dark Ranger, another statue, another invuln, pop 2 destroyers, Nerubian, shop, then fight. We don't need to just rush back here to fight, because even if the Orc kills this necropolis, kills these 2 ziggurats, kills a couple of acolytes, that's fine, because we're going to guaranteed win the fight. Right? And we're also, yeah, someone points out, we're also full mana, and he's got pretty low mana. His heroes are safe. It doesn't matter that his heroes are safe. Regardless of micro, we can guarantee ourselves a victory, but let's see what happens. Maybe he does all these things. Maybe he does. So it doesn't look like any Dark Ranger. Is he going to morph the destroyers, though? Is he going to upgrade a Nerubian? Is he going to build a shop? Nukes the raider. Good. There's the anti-air gone. Another raider comes in. We could kill that. No invuln on the Lich, which we could have bought a second invuln. Definitely should be popping destroyers, right? And note, none of this is micro, right? There's none of this where I'm saying you should be microing this. These are all strategical options. You should have 2 destroyers. You should have a 3rd hero. You should have a Nerubian. You should have a shop. You should have another invuln. What you do micro-wise wouldn't be important at that point. Right? Yeah, you don't want to lose your hero, but what you did micro-wise would not be important. And then we lose the fight. Alright. That was a great replay. Break. That was a great replay. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Too much respect given to your opponent and not understanding the stakes of that last fight. You don't rush into fights, guys. Don't rush into fights. Even if your micro isn't the greatest. My micro's terrible. My micro's terrible. Truly. And I play Orc, a race where you honestly have to micro pretty well a lot of matchups. My micro's terrible. What you can do, though, is really, really think about how you're going to take engagements, and then the micro doesn't have to be beautiful. As long as you take smart fights and you think about what you need to do to prepare for the fights, then you will win the fights more often, and you'll win the games more often, because it shouldn't have to come down to micro. People have a false sense of how well they need to micro to win games because of people like Happy. They see Happy out micro people with 30 supply differentials and be like, oh, I want to do that too. You don't have to do that to win games. You don't have to do that to win games. Right? All right, cool. Cool. Replay 2. We took a little while on that, but that was a really great replay, honestly. That was good. There was clear things that you did very well, and there's clear things, that cost you the game. All right, this next replay... This next replay I did look over. I did look over beforehand because I read what he sent to me in an email, and I was like, oh, I'll check out the replay. But which race is the most least micro-intensive? I don't know. I'm a bit biased, so I probably won't answer that. Least and most micro-intensive. I'll let you guys argue about that in the chat and comments. Ask me at the end of the show, and I'll answer it. Not in the middle, because then it might get spicy if I answer it in the middle. Okay. Replay 2. So I'll let us get a little bit into this replay before I reveal what the strategy is, but then we'll talk about it when we get a little ways into the replay. But this will be Hoodaumic, who is an Orc player. He'll be playing against a human. All right, here we go. All right. So Orc against human on Last Refuge. This is, of course, from the previous patch, remember, so people were less often going Farseer Headhunters, but, of course, knowing what I know now with my crystal ball into the future, I'd say Farseer Headhunters opening with, what I talked about in episode 11, Lynn's style of Farseer Headhunters against human. I definitely recommend doing that on every map. On every map. That's really, really, really good. Really good. So let's see. This is going to be Farseer Headhunters. How do I know it? He's got 5 on gold, and he's rallying a worker to build right here, which is going to be the War Mill, right? That's how I know. I got you, man. You're in the chat. Hey, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Hoodaumic or Hoodaumic? I like Hoodaumic because it's like hood, Oh, one little adjustment. Oh, we already got adjustment. Assuming you're doing... assuming You want headhunters before you tech, right? Let me restart, actually. I'm going to restart the replay. Restart the replay so I can show you this fully. Because let's talk about the build a bit. Let's talk about the build first. I don't normally go into detail on actual build orders because, it's pretty intuitive to figure out. Okay. We see we have 2 peons queued up, right? 2 peons queued up. This peon's going to build the war mill. This peon's going to build the barracks. We're going to have just enough gold to do that. I've just enough for the war mill. Perfect. Watch our gold. Watch our gold. Oh, plus add 75 to the gold we have. Add 75. Right, so right now we have enough for the barracks. But we don't because this peon is queued up. So this peon goes here, builds the barracks. All is good in the hood. Right? All is good in the hood. I'll call you just Hood. How about that? Because that's a dope name. Okay. Farseer coming out. And let's say, hey, the Cosmonaut gifting a sub to Hood. What's up, dude? Cheers. Appreciate that. There are variations of Farseer headhunters, of course. There are much different build orders. People have different philosophies for the openers. It's like Pally Rifles. Everyone has a different build order. But, I'd say this is a little bit of an adjustment you could make. I thought the peon that builds the altar builds the barracks. Maybe you're right. There are different variations of this build. This is how I do this build. I could be wrong, and there could be better variations. But yeah, you're getting your second burrow. So far, good to go. War mill coming up. Everything's going to be totally fine. Hey, Scuzzy McHaggis with the tier 1 for 2 months. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, guys, for the subs. Farseer's going to come out. And generally what you'll do since you don't have a peon, we've talked a lot about this peon at the Merc camp in the past, right? Since you're not doing that, since you're not going to be able to deny a potential Shadow Priest, typically you'll come over here and creep this, right? And then if you do see a Shadow Priest, you can come up here and creep this. You can do that. Or if you deny the priest, then you can go straight for the harass. Both are viable here. Both are viable. I feel like I'm in school again. But so far we don't know what's going on. And it's a Fire Lord. Woo! Okay, let's talk about it. There we go. That's what I didn't want to spoil you guys on. Okay, Fire Lord, Fire Lord, Fire Lord, Fire Lord. This is a Fire Lord Tower Rush. If you see a Fire Lord come into your base with a couple of footmen as an orc player, you are getting Fire Lord Tower Rushed. And you know what? You know what, guys? I asked Hitman. What do you do? What do you do? Because you know what? I'll tell the truth. I'll tell you the truth. I never get Fire Lord Tower Rushed. I don't think I've been Fire Lord Tower Rushed in like 2 years. I haven't been Fire Lord Tower Rushed in like 2 years. Thanks, Bidu, Warcraft 3 for the sub for 4 months? You've only been subbed for 4 months? I just did my 15 month today. Alright, I haven't been Fire Lord Tower Rushed in like 2 years, man. Maybe a year and a half. So I didn't know what to do. I mean, I can tell you suggestions. This is what I think you should do. This is what I think you did wrong. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be a proper response to cheeses. Because what is a cheese? A cheese is something that's very strong when you don't expect it. But it gets worse the more aware you are of how to beat it. Right? So a cheese is something where you can take step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and you will always beat it. That's what a cheese is. So I don't know what the steps are. I can make suggestions and say, oh, maybe you could do this. Maybe you could outplay him here, go for a block here, get damage in here. But there's actually a way to defend it, right? There's actually always going to be a way to defend it. Some people say tier 2 faster, catapults. Some people say build towers, right? Here's what Hitman said. It wasn't overly in-depth. He just sent me a few messages. But this is what Hitman told me. Let's do this. This is what Hitman told me. Because I told him, the person who sent me the replay went Farseer Headhunter 2 Burrow, and he gets Fire Lord Tower Rush. I said, what would you do? What would you do? Here's what he told me. Let's see if this all fits. Yeah, he said, build a shop inside your base, because of course you're not going to. with Farseer Headhunters, you're not going to have your shop. You're going to build it after you tech. So build a shop inside your base. Keep producing Headhunters. Don't even tech. Just keep building them. Put your Farseer Wolves on the Firelord. Get damage on the Firelord. Attack the Firelord if he comes into range. He means with your Farseer and your Headhunters. Always be putting damage on the Firelord every chance you get. And then you force the Firelord back so he's not putting damage in, so he has to run away. And then you kill the peasants. You force the Firelord and the Footmen away, and then you kill all the peasants. Once the peasants are dead, the push is over. So your end goal is to kill the peasants, but you start this end goal by first of all forcing the Firelord and the Footmen out of your face. And then you can kill the towers after that. And that's what he told me. That's what you should do. That's from Hitman, the mouth of babes. So let's see. Hood, let's see how you do it. Let's see how you do it, man. Let's see how you do it. What am I doing? Here we go. In the game. Boom. And Hitman's in chat, actually. Do you have anything to add to that? Do you have anything to add to that? This is your last chance. Or go down in infamy. Do you have anything to add to this? Defending a Firelord Tower Rush with 2 Burrow Farseer Headhunters. Do you have anything to add? Victoria. B2 Warcraft 3 says, do you want my take? I want your take. Give me your take. Yeah, because... Yeah. See? Do you have anything to add or take away from this, Hitman? Because we just went over it. If not, we will continue with the replay. Who is Hitman? Hitman is the best North American player ever to play the game. Next to Cruncher. So number 2. But a very, very strong orc player from America. All right. Hitman has nothing to add. B2 has nothing to add. Let's go to the replay. Here we go. Let's see how Hood does it. Kill all his buildings before he kills all of yours. That is the goal of RTS games. Good. That should grant you the victory. Beautiful. 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 What about Grubby? Okay, here we go. All right, so let's see what happens. Again, remember, goal here, put damage on the Firelord. So wolves on the Firelord. And if you are, say for instance, you have wolves, so you resummon your wolves because your second one's over here. Excuse me. You put your wolves on the Firelord. He stops and starts attacking your wolves. Is that good or bad for you? It's great for you because you're buying more time in your base for this shop to come up right here in the back of your base. You're buying more time for headhunters to come up, for this burrow to not be cancelable, for maybe you to even get spiked barricades is great against Firelord tower rushes. So any amount of time you can buy right now is great. One other play you could make, you could pull the creeps. He's coming here. Look what he's coming here with his footmen. He's got peasants coming across. Imagine if you attack these creeps. These creeps are going to bloodlust. They're going to ensnare his footmen. And they're going to kill him. They're going to kill him. Right? So you pull these creeps onto him. You put damage on the Firelord. These are 2 things you can already do. These are kind of micro things. But in defending cheeses with Orc, you kind of have to do micro plays. You can't just build the right units and then expect to win. You do kind of have to make plays. Another thing you can do, he comes into your base. What do you know? There's another creep camp right next to him. You can pull this creep camp on him as well. Now he has 2 creep camps on him. You have wolves on his Firelord the whole time putting damage on him. And in the meanwhile, you're building headhunters. You're getting a shop up. You're getting spiked barricades. That's already before he even gets to your base. Sometimes you may have won the game with this already. Those are 3 things you could do. Let's see what happens. This is map specific, of course, but there's lots of maps where you can pull creeps onto them, right? Lots of maps. Amazonia, you can pull the Cobalts onto him. Echo Isles, you can pull the 12 o'clock marketplace onto him. All sorts of plays. Again, damage on the Firelord. Remember, damage on the Firelord. You should be attacking the Firelord right now. Attacking the Firelord. The one in the burrow is great. You could be attacking from like right here as well. You could be full with the burrow as well, because this initial defense is going to be really good. Ray Bear with the tier 1. Thank you. Appreciate that. You're going for peasants, which is the end goal of defending this, but you cannot go for peasants until you've bullied off the Firelord and the Footman, remember. So damage on the Firelord. No shop as well. You could be backing off here to attack so that your 4 in the burrow, which it should be 4 in the burrow, is attacking the whole time. Notice, Firelord still full health. Tower canceled. Could have spiked barricades as well. You have the economy for this. Spiked barricades is good because it also works on buildings that are being canceled. And once the Firelord is gone, how is he going to deal with a Farseer and 2 Headhunters? He's not. He's going to have to back his Footmen away. And then what's he going to do to stop his towers from getting canceled? Nothing. Even if you don't put damage on the Firelord as well, you should be trying to cancel these towers, of course, before they get up. So if you can do that, that's great. But your macro on Headhunters has been very good. You could be building a shop. Like, you know, maybe the shop won't fit here now because of this tower. Before it would have. But, you know, maybe you could build it, like, right here, for instance. You know, maybe that'd be a decent spot for it. A little out of vision. But definitely getting a tower down is very crucial. Still not in a terrible spot. There's 1 tower up, but look how low the Footmen are getting. All we have to do is chill. What we should be doing is not overcommitting. We should always be sitting back here, like you are with these 2 units, just not with this Headhunter. Letting the burrow attack, letting the towers soon attack, forcing him to commit in, and then just running away and letting the burrows attack him every time. No reason to be out front, ever. There's no reason to ever be out front here. Because then just this happens, right? And you lose Headhunters. Use your gold peons for burrows, or just wood burrow rush. Just wood. Always have peons on gold. You can even build more peons if you need to in this sort of a situation. You can build more peons for lumber, but always keep 5 on gold. See, now no shop, or you could be salving up and then hold. No spiked barricades, or these Footmen would both die to the tower. We're still fine, though. This is still winnable. Still winnable. Yeah, we could try last hitting the Footman to get experience, but that's, you know, more difficult micro stuff, so not the end of the world if we're messing that up. The main thing we're missing here is a shop, of course. But there's starting to be, you notice, this whole defense was tailored on us being able to bully him off and kill the peasants and cancel the towers. Now that we're in a position where we haven't bullied him off and canceled the towers, we're going to need demolishers. So we're going to need to tech, because there's going to be 3 towers up soon to be 4. He's going to start snaking them towards our main base. We're going to eventually need demolishers to break out of here, so it wouldn't be a bad spot to tech in now that he's gotten towers up. Right? Not a bad spot. But initially, you shouldn't have to tech to defend this. Initially, you should be able to stay tier 1 with Farseer Headhunters to defend this. Trying to rebuild the altar, trying to build the shop, but it's a little bit too late. He's going to cancel it now. That altar's not too important to rebuild anyway. If you lose your Farseer, you probably lost the game. And now it's just a slow and painful death for Hood. A slow and painful death. But this is really, it all comes down to that initial 30 to 45 seconds when you're defending this, right? Getting damage on the right units, not taking too much damage yourself, being positioned properly behind your altar, having the right buildings coming up. I mean, you know, having that shop coming up, most importantly, having that spiked barricades upgrade coming up. It's all tailored around that first 30 to 45 seconds. And if you do the right things in those first 30 to 45 seconds, doesn't matter what you do after, because the game will be over. But if you mess up those 30 to 45 seconds, here we are. Here we are. You can play perfectly from this time out, from this point out, and the result would still be the same. Maybe if, like, you know, if, like, Hitman took over for you right now, you'd probably hold, but it'd be tough, you know? Like, if I took over for you right now, I'd probably still lose. You do have 3 towers up. You do need to tech, though. Because how else are you going to break these towers? He's going to get defend soon. He's got 2 barracks footmen. Is it enough distance to trigger the lab? It would be. But they might just attack your shop. So it's always weird when you aggro that lab. It never works out as well as it's supposed to. See, he's got defend now. What does defend mean? It means he can kill these towers and the burrow whenever he wants. So it's very important, of course, to defend this before he's able to get defend. So you need to kill the peasants, cancel the towers before he gets defend, because once he gets defend, you don't even have grunts to help you defend this. But spiked barricades helps with the defend footies as well. It's a great upgrade to get in this situation. Immediately to get in this situation. But now he can just keep spamming footmen. He doesn't even need to build more towers, really. He could just keep sending footmen into your base, and you're still tier 1. And he's just going to keep building footmen. This is one of those things where this is a difficult strat to deal with. It's very difficult. A lot of orcs lose to it all the time. But all you need to do... We'll wait for this game to be GG'd out of. As there's a blacksmith being built, and then probably... Is he tier 2? He's going tier 2. He's going to get mortar teams. Yeah. Alright, GG is called. So, it's one of those things, these strategies, the Fire Lord Tower Rush, it's extremely difficult to deal with right away when you don't know what to do. What I would recommend to get better against these styles of play, similar to like, as a Night Elf, if you're getting 2 Crypt Ghouled a lot, right? Or you're having issues dealing with like a Lich fast expansion as Night Elf, right? And the strategies where the first couple of minutes are pretty much the entire game, and it comes down to like 1 fight, 1 harass, 1 defense, I'd recommend just having a practice partner that's willing to play 22-minute games with you. Somebody that's just willing to Fire Lord Tower Rush you 20 times in a row, and just work on understanding the perfect answers at every point in those first, again, 30 to 45 seconds when you're defending that. And then you will never lose to it again. Because, 1, you're not going to panic and overreact, and 2, you're going to know exactly what to do. So you have to do it once. You have to practice against a friend 20 times in a row, and you'll probably never have to worry about Fire Lord Tower Rush ever again. It'll be a free win on ladder every time. But that's what you have to do. You do have to put the work in and grind it out. My partner wishes I could go 22 minutes. Oh, Jesus. Just grind that first fight out. Grind, pulling the shop, and then pulling the lab, and then putting damage on the Fire Lord, getting your upgrades, getting your shop in the back, canceling the towers, killing the peasants. Just grind that out. Grind that out. No worries, Hood. Oh, I hope it helped. And I hope you never lose to it again. But you do have to. It's not something that you can just analyze, and then I tell you, like, this is what Hitman said to do, and then you can just do it perfectly the first time, because it is a lot of micro things that you're supposed to do. So you do have to practice it. Whereas if I were to say, you just have to get spiked barricades and build a forward burrow, then it would be like, oh, that's all I have to do? Then I just have to hit the hotkey for spiked barricades and BO to build a burrow, and then I've held. But no, that's not true. I'm saying you have to micro these things in this particular way. So that's why it takes practice. That's why it takes practice. Okay, replay 3. Let me get this ready to go. It will be an Orc against Night Elf, another Orc player, 1400 MMR. 1400 MMR. And get rid of this. Not sure what map it'll be on, but it will be from Nolram. Nolram. Noel Ram 00. I'm going to call him Nolram. Nolram. Why the 3 N's? Because 1 and 2 was taken. Okay. There he is. Glad you're in the chat. What's up, buddy? This will be replay 3. I'm just going to double check I didn't miss anyone. No, I think I got everyone. Yeah, I think I got everyone. Okay, replay 3. What map is it on? It will be on Runes of Ashara. Okay, just like Autumn Leaves, this is a map I am not very experienced in. But I'll try to give more commentary on the matchup itself. Orc against Night Elf. And we'll try to learn about the map together. We'll try to learn about it together. But again, not a map I'm very experienced in. But let's see. Let's see what happens. All right. So this is worth noting at the beginning. It's actually Orc against random. So Nolram is Orc, and his opponent is random, but he's going to random Night Elf. And we'll talk a bit about that, because it's very important if it's random, if you're going into it knowing what his race is, or if you're going into it thinking he's random. So let's get into replay 3. Boo, 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 boo. 1400 MMR. And let's see. So, of course, typically what I would say to do against random would be to play Farseer Headhunters, because it's good against Undead, it's good in Mirror, and it's good against Human, and you can make it work against Night Elf. It's worse against Night Elf than going Blade Master, but it's better against the other 3 styles than like having a Blade Master against Human, for instance. Or for some people, having a Blade Master against Crypt Lord, right? For some people as well, having a Blade Master against like a Farseer Tower Rush in Orkmere. So Farseer Headhunters is probably just the best build to do against random. But we'll see if he does that. It doesn't look like so far. Probably going to have a Blade Master, which is great because we're against a Night Elf player. So that's perfect. Because if you did go Farseer Headhunters against Night Elf, I wouldn't have much to help you with. But if you go Blade Master, let's see.
Work complete.
Let's go Blade Master. Good. Okay, it is Blade Master. Okay, we're gonna have a lot to talk about then. Let's take a look at the map. Merc Camp, Shop, Merc Camp, Expo here, Expo here. These are very important things to know about on a against a Night Elf opponent, because of course they're going to be looking to build expansions. You know, where do we have to be scouting for expansions? Maybe like right around here, all around here. These are places we want to be scouting for the expansion. Where can he build it? Where can he build it? This is when we see a new map and we're thinking about particular matchups. Like maybe this is a place he could put a Tree of Life. Maybe this will aggro the lab, but if not, this is a beautiful spot for him to put a Tree of Life. So we need to be aware of these positions as an Orc player going up against Night Elf on these sorts of new maps. Right? This is one thing we just want to initially look at when we're learning a new map. Concealed Hill, is that what you're talking about? In the chat, you asked what CH was. This is Ruins of Ashara, is this map. All right, so we scout. We see it's a Night Elf. This is a great thing to do. Peon scout when you're against random, so you know what his race is. We see in-base Ancient of War, 2 Moonwells, and I'm expecting to see a keeper from this altar. You've done a very good job scouting, though. Because what are the things we need to scout for against Night Elf? Because, you know, this peon serves more than just to figure out what race he is. Now we can figure out a couple of other things. What's the starting hero we want to be able to see? And where is the Ancient of War? Because, of course, against Night Elf, we want to know, is the Ancient of War creeping something? Is he creeping the expansion? Because in that case, you know, he's going to be expanding very early by creeping that. Is he creeping? This mercenary camp is probably the most common spot to put it, like right here, for instance. So we need to scout where's this Ancient of War and what's his hero. So you've gained 2 out of 3 things. We just need to wait around to see what his hero is. Since it is an in-base Ancient of War, he can't creep with it, is what I mean. Oh, Runes of Ashara. Runes of Ashara. Since this is an in-base Ancient of War and he's not creeping with it, this means that we could probably just creep on our side. We could take, I think this camp is doable. Yep, this camp is doable. And then we could take this camp. That would be like level 2.1. And then we can go aggressive. We don't have to worry too much about the Night Elf making big plays, because he's not going to be able to clear an expansion early. And he's not going to be creeping level 3 very quickly because he has this in-base Ancient of War. What we do have to be afraid of by seeing this Ancient of War is it could potentially be some sort of all-in with lots of archers. He could have this in his base because he wants to get like 8 to 10 archers, tier 2 tech, and like push us with a Naga or something. That's definitely a possibility. But we'll see. first things first, figure out what the hero is, but we could creep when the Blade Master comes out would be great here. I think that'd be great. Yeah, this is the best camp to take from my experience on this map with the Blade Master. If you are planning to creep. You can even go Critical Strike first. Oh, this might be not a bad camp to take either. Take this one and then this one. Lots of cool creep routes on this map. Okay, so your Blade Master comes out and you're running towards the expansion, but remember you saw where the Ancient War was already. So there's no reason to really be doing this. You're gonna be able to stop him from taking a green camp, but you could even creep faster than him with a Blade Master and a Grunt than he can. Okay, you're gonna find him though, so this is fine. If you get this last hit, this is good. Alright, this is good. Killed this treant. Nice, nicely done. Okay, good. Okay, this is good so far. So now what we have to do is you're using your Grunt to scout for expansions, which is good. You're using your Peon to also scout for expansions, also good. Perfectly done. Now that your Blade Master's over on this side of the map without salves, we need to chase his Keeper around to stop him from creeping, but we need to do so without taking lots of damage. And then we need to somehow work our way back and get salves eventually. But for now, we want to focus on stopping him from creeping, stealing creeps with the mana we have left, but also keeping our Blade Master high hit points, which you seem to be doing pretty well. And again, remember, he can't creep anything huge because he has an in-base Ancient War. So we run away, but we got the Peon up here and we got the Grunt down here, so we're going to be able to confirm where he's going. He's obviously going here. Right, so we could be running our Blade there, because this is the only place he could go, because we know our Peon's scouting this. And we also saw him run this way when our Blade Master ran away, right? And here he is. We can get this last hit, probably. Checking the mana of the Keeper. We know he's got no mana left. What does it mean when the Keeper has no mana left? Well, one, it means he can't creep anymore. He's got to go back to his Moonwells to get more treants. But it also means, this is very important, knowing the Keeper's on low mana. If we put damage on the Keeper, he's going to have to use much more Moon Juice. He's probably going to have to use all the Moon Juice he has. Let's see. He's got 248 Moon Juice. We put damage. We put 100 damage on the Keeper. You know, he's going to have to heal that health and the mana. He's not going to get to full mana off these Moonwells. So that's pretty important. But in doing so, we might take some damage on our Blade, so we have to realize after that, we're probably going to have to go back home for salves after we make that play. But that's something we could be thinking about in this situation. I would say Archer, certainly not the target here because you have no dust and you have no salve. So you're putting damage on an Archer essentially so that you can go back home. So not the best target. I would say a better target, of course, would have been the Keeper, if any. But still, you got the Grunt here. You got the Peon here. He's getting to the point where he could take something bigger. So I'm expecting to see him take this. So what you could do, you're going to buy a Staff of Teleportation. You could sell TP, buy Dust and Staff. And then what you could do, okay, you buy Boots and Dust. Wouldn't recommend the Boots. Would recommend selling the TP and buying a Staff. This would be a good play. This would be a good play. You buy Dust and Staff, sell the TP, go back, get salves. I just said I think he's going to creep this next. So you can send the Peon there. You don't send the Grunt there because it will get entangled and killed. You send the Peon there. If he is there, then you heal up your Blade, and you, of course, Staff there to creep jack him, right? That's one way you could get back home, get the salves that you desperately need, and still stop his Keeper from creeping, because that's what we want to do, right? We always want to stop the Keeper from getting level 3. He's going aggressive, though. As I pointed out, in-base Ancient War might mean that he's all-inning us. That's what I would expect to see. Oh, this is rough. Oh, Windwalk. Okay. I would be expecting him to get a Naga second and be pushing me right now. So what I want to do, well, these burrows aren't ideal. Of course, as an Orc player, you should always keep your burrows in the back. You should always keep your burrows in the back, right? Just as a rule of thumb. But knowing what you know right now, the information that you have is he's sitting at the tavern with lots of archers getting ready to push. Right? So we need to prepare for a push because that's all the information we have. I think he's going to buy a Naga and he's going to all in you, based off the information that I have. Have a good night, Kansas. Yeah, base build's not too important. We won't think about it. We won't even think about it. So what you need to do to defend is you need to keep building grunts, Shadowhunter at tier 2 with heal first, in my opinion, and get reinforced defenses, and also armor upgrades is great as well. But keep building grunts, get Shadowhunter with heal, and be ready to buy like a potion on your blade, and be ready also to pull your peons to defend with the peons as well. If you look at your lumber, you're totally fine on lumber. So if he all-ins you, get ready to pull all your peons. But let's see, maybe he doesn't even all-in you. But this is a possibility we have to be ready for. You're going to get salves. Remember, if you had a staff of teleportation, you could be scouting with this peon and then staff to the peon if you find him. But because he was going aggressive, he might be taking this or something, or he might be taking this. It's hard to know, especially not knowing the map too well. It's hard to know where he is now that we've lost him. Tier 2 down, we saw Treant. There he is. Unlucko. He's still sitting by the tavern. Our tier 2's done. Shadowhunter. More grunts. Would be great. We don't need this burrow this early. We need to instead invest into army. He's still sitting at the tavern. I really want to turn Fog of War off and see what he's doing, but I want the surprise. I want the surprise. Let's see what he does. Wouldn't be a bad choice to just creep here because we know he's sitting just in the middle. We could take like something like this, a safe camp close to our base that would give us level 2. Would be great to do. Just a small green just to get level 2. But it's going to be hard to find him at this point. He might be here. Yeah, it's going to be very hard. He might even just be running to our base. He might be running around this way. It's hard to find him at this point. Oh, and here he is. And let's ignore, you're going to lose a couple burrows here. But let's try to analyze without these burrow losses, because these burrows should be ideally in the back. These burrows are beautiful. These are very well placed. These 2 burrows should probably be somewhere like back here or like right here. Right? They certainly shouldn't be here. Everything else is fine. Your shop is safe. Your altar and your barracks are protecting burrows. Your lumber mill's close to the trees. You have shop in the back for your spirit lodge. The only thing wrong with this base build is these 2 burrows are forward, and they're both going to die, most likely. Definitely want to get your Shadowhunter as early as possible. Don't need the Bestiary either. And it is that all-in we were talking about. No secondary hero, but look, he's built... How many Ancient Wars does he have? Just 1. But he's got lots of archers. Is he still tier 1? No, he is tier 2. He's getting a shop up. He could get a second hero. So as I expected, seeing the in-base Ancient War, he's just going for a big push with lots of archers. So we needed to be prepared for this, and we needed to realize this is what he was going for earlier. But now being caught out of position, about to lose 2 burrows, and not having our hero, it's very difficult to hold. He's low on mana, though, so this is actually definitely winnable. We're going to have 3 grunts. If he had full mana here, I would say this is already a lost game. But since he's got no mana, he's going to be able to kill 1 grunt, but yeah, this is good. And remember, you can pull your peons here, too. You can pull all the boys if you wanted to keep fighting these archers. That's good. That's a good defense. Still want to be getting that Shadowhunter, though. Everything else has been fine. Nicely saving the grunt. Demon Hunter second. Interesting. Not what I expected, but good. You haven't lost a grunt. You've killed a bunch of archers. And you defended. Good. You've defended now, and you've seen Demon Hunter second. Anyone in the chat? He's seen Demon Hunter second. What can we gain from this information? Seeing, this is all we know. We've seen the in-base Ancient of War. We guessed he was going to pressure us with a lot of archers on tier 2, possibly a Naga second all-in. We defended that pressure. We see Demon Hunter second. That's the only other information we have, not using this peon. What do we know? What can we get out of that? We can get a lot out of that. TC instead of Shadowhunter and go for Raiders. I would say, Micro Jordan, that's an overcommitment going Tauren Chieftain instead of Shadowhunter. He has 2 heroes. Is TC or Shadowhunter better versus DH second? I would say Shadowhunter is always better in my opinion. Always. And that's worth a whole episode in and of itself. I'll have to do Orc against Night Elf, Demon Hunter second, Demon Hunter first in the future. It's worth a whole episode to explain. But let's just say the short answer, Shadowhunter is much more consistent against Night Elf second than Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain is you're very much in the dark trying to counter something that might not happen. But yeah, a lot of people have the right idea in the chat. It means he's probably either going Winds or he's going Lores. He's either going Talents with like a Tinker Third, or he's going like Mass Dryads or Dryad Bear. Those sorts of things, right? Which means we either want to get an expansion up. That's what I would go for. We certainly want to get a level 3 Shadowhunter as early as possible. We want to get Shamans, and we also want to get a Bestiary for Raiders. The Bestiary is good for Raiders against Dryads and Talents. It's also good for hitting and running if we go for a towered expansion. And the Bestiary can also give us Kodos if there is Mass Bears. Right? And we also, of course, want to scout with this peon to see if it is Winds or Lores and react accordingly. But yeah, generally speaking, you'll try to get an expansion up regardless against Night Elf, right? Just try to get an expansion up, get a Bestiary, Shadowhunter level 3, all those sorts of good things. But definitely scouting with this peon would be very valuable right now because we don't know what it is. Reinforced defenses are great. That's one thing I said you should get against the potential all-in. Very important. Yeah, Aslov says he's probably creeping because DH is bad on level 1. That's definitely possible. Now we have the information that he's not, but I would say that's actually a very good point. Yeah, he certainly would be. He maybe moved his Ancient War somewhere like here, and he might be creeping that, which means we can take a big camp with our Shadowhunter that's about to be out, right? Could you reword your question, Isliv? I'm not sure what the question is. If you could reword it. Try to. Okay, this is strange. This is a position where you could go Hex first. Maybe. I wouldn't always recommend it, but this would be great. Speed scroll, Hex first. You don't actually have a speed scroll, but Heal Wave also fine. You did go Heal Wave because you know that's what I said you should do against the all-in, which is great. But of course, seeing the Demon Hunter, I would expect that he is playing for the late game, not playing for an all-in. If I saw a Naga or a Firelord or a Beastmaster, possibly, I would think, okay, he's all-inning me. Boots on Blade, yeah, I did say earlier, I wouldn't recommend the Boots on Blade. They're just too expensive for what they give you. Ah, that was the question. Yeah, that's a perfect answer, Real Red Dragon. That's a perfect answer. All right. Still, this peon, again, just like the first replay of the day. Would love to see some more scouting because we don't know. We see a Huntress now. I'm even more confused seeing a Huntress. Because I would guarantee you it's Lores or Winds. Right? I would guarantee you. I would guarantee you. I would guarantee you. And it might not be. In which case I would go, But I would still be expecting what I expect in-game and trying to counter that. Just orc things creeping like this. You're scouting for the expansion again, which is something you've been doing consistently, which is really good. Berserker would be great here as well. Berserker against Night Elf is very strong. Lose a grunt, not the end of the world. And okay, he's going for Dryads and Talons. Okay. Still, Shamans, tier 3 tech's fine. Shamans, get a Bestiary up for Raiders. Level 3 Shadowhunter with wards, right? That's what we want. We want level 1 Heal Wave, level 2 wards, Raiders, Grunts, and Shamans. Same thing we'd want against Mass Dryads. Same things we'd want against Mass Talons. Same thing we'd even want against Bears, but we'd just mix in maybe a Kodo or two, right? But still, the Bestiary is great. Tier 3 tech is fine. It's maybe a stylistic choice. You can get Bloodlust, you can get like a Pit Lord third, you can get Tiny Great Halls, Orb. But we still want that Bestiary, we still want that level 3 Shadow Hunter, and we still want those Serpent Wards. Right? Yeah, this isn't too common, but the same rules still apply, right? If one thing counters Dryads and Talons, then it will certainly counter Dryads and Talons, right? He's got Orb, he's tier 3. That could mean Bears as well, but, you know, maybe just Orbs. Okay, now you're getting the Bestiary. I would try to get level 3 Shadow Hunter. And this is typically how I like to play against Night Elf doing this sort of stuff. I try to get an Expo with a couple of towers up. A couple of reinforced towers. That's what I would do. But you could certainly stay one base, stay on tier 2, and focus more on taking fights. Well, he's still level 1 Demon Hunter over here, right? Still, now he's level 2, but before he was level 1. Focus on taking more fights, right? Now you're gonna get level 3, which is good. You're certainly starting to be in fighting shape, right? You're getting a Headhunter. Headhunter maybe not the best choice, especially against the Orb, but mixing in a couple is all right. You're gonna get Orb of Lightning, which is fine as well. Some Raiders would be great. Earlier Raiders would have been great as well. Now you're level 3. And you were scouting very proactively earlier for expansions, but now you should be scouting even more because, of course, you know he was just creeping this expansion, right? Oh, here he is. Winnable fight for you. Winnable fight. But with Serpent Wards, right? Not without. And it doesn't look like you have Serpent Wards. Yeah, without Serpent Wards, I don't know if any amount of micro is ever going to win you this fight. I'll be honest with you. Serpent Wards are really what are needed. You imagine right here, right now, you have 3 wards in the ground attacking the Talons and the Dryads. You're even close to winning the fight without. Right? The microing the Shadow Hunter back against the mana burn was great. You could purge it if it comes up for a mana burn, but it's only level 1 mana burn. Wards would be game winning. You're going to lose a lot, but you would also kill everything. And in trading your whole army for his whole army, your heroes scale better. Because Keeper doesn't scale great. A little bit unfortunate. Could have purged, but of course you were panicking there, as we all would be. Still a winnable fight, though. That position you were in was totally fine. Let's see, does he have an expansion? He does have one coming up. That's what I would expect when he's going aggressive on your side of the map right after he crept an expansion. I would be thinking he's building an expansion, he's building an expansion. But I wouldn't be too worried because I would just counter expand. After winning this fight, if I did win it with my wards instead of my Hex heal, I would counter expand with a Tiny Great Hall immediately. But now it's very rough. He could even get a second Orb. It's hard. There wasn't a lot of mistakes this game. It just came down to, like, you know, one bad fight. One bad fight, kind of, and, like, a couple of slow movements. Like, you were slow to get the right army, you were slow to creep, and you were lacking scouting a little bit, and he just did a lot of things a bit faster than you, right? But there wasn't a lot of big mistakes, honestly. I think you did a lot of things very well. Hey, Cosmo, I'll give him the sub to Nullroom. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, Blade dies. Again, micro errors. Micro errors. And this Night Elf was being, if you watch my episode on Lalaya, you'll understand this. This Night Elf was being very tricky. He did a lot of things. Let's talk about what he did. In base Ancient of War, I said, I think he's all-inning. And then he goes Demon Hunter second. And I say, okay, He's not all in because he went Demon Hunter second. I think he's going Talons or Dryad Bear. And then he goes Dryads and Talons at the same time. Right? Very tricky. So it's been a very confusing game to know what to do exactly. Right? But you've done a pretty decent job of that. I would just mainly what I would work on is understanding what the proper reactions are to do against Night Elf in all the situations. If you see Demon Hunter second, what do you do? If you see Naga second and Mass Archers, what do you do? If you see Alchemist second, what do you do? The more standard option. If you see Demon Hunter first, what do you do? If you see Warden first, what do you do? And a lot of these strats, they'll have similar reactions. But for instance, seeing Demon Hunter second, like I said, I would get reinforced defenses, I would get a Bestiary up, and I would try to get a couple towers in an expansion, and level 3 Shadow Hunter with level 2 Serpent Wards right away. Right, and that's just one reaction to one thing you scout. And just knowing how to react to all these different styles is really what's important against Night Elf. It's not always about execution. It's just about having a very big flow chart of what to do in all the situations. Thanks, Lion. It's all about the flow chart against Night Elf. All about the flow chart. And it takes a while to sort of understand what to do. Like, this is a strat that I've never played against. Talons, Bears, Dryads, and Archers. Never played against it. But there is a proper response. Wards, of course, would be a great start. So again, playing against Night Elf is about scouting a lot and understanding the flow chart of how to counter everything. Once the flow chart is ready, a new patch comes out. Yeah, exactly. But really, all you needed this game was earlier Raiders, Serpent Wards, and a little bit better scouting, because now, of course, he has an expansion up in mining. A little bit better scouting. And that's it. You would have won the game. You would have won the fight right here. And then you would have known, because you scouted a little bit better, that he had an expansion, so you could either kill that expo or counter expand with the tiny Great Hall. Game would have been yours. Game would have been yours. But then you didn't have the army you needed. You didn't have the abilities you needed on your Shadow Hunter. You took one bad fight, and here we are. Right, here we are. Try and get a Demolisher to break out. I think that's totally fine. So maybe uncertainty of how to react to this game is what cost you. Just the uncertainty, not having that immediate, okay, this is how I react sort of thing, right? Only you would know that, Hitman. See, and what we're seeing is just a snowball. A snowball from the first fight. Just a snowball. What do I do if they go Keeper of the Grove with Hunts, with a proxy AP into DH second, Dryads into double Expo, into Zeppelin drop harass, into Hippo Riders, into MG, back to Dryads, into Dots, into Mass Chims? You go Mass Raiders and Liquid Fire Bat Riders. You taught me that, Hitman. Of course, that's what you do. You don't play their game. You don't play their game. Yeah, but we've just been seeing an elongated ending to this game. Really, this game was over after, where was the fight? Right here? This game was over at the fight that was right here, right? This game was over then. We needed a couple Raiders, we needed a Kodo, we needed level 2 wards. Watch him win this game now, after I said that. But he does have the Night Elf has an expansion, right?
Work complete.
See a Moonstruck. Killing that Peon. Getting our blade back, trying to hold on. And, you know, if you could have an expansion up right now, maybe you could hold on, but the only thing that's really not allowing you to have a comeback mechanic is the fact that he's mining on 2 bases, right? If it weren't for this, I would say, yeah, you got a chance to hold on, you got a chance. Your blade comes back, you creep Shadowhunter level 4, you know, get some raiders out of a bestiary that you don't have anymore, but you could build. Maybe there's a good shot. I would say the canceling of the bestiary wasn't the end of the world, but the bestiary, remember, was already a little bit late, if I remember, right? Or no, you did build it right away, right? You did build it right away. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world. I would honestly say, like, if everything went the same this game, but you just had Serpent Wards, you probably could have won. You just need Serpent Wards. I would say in every situation, is there a situation against Night Elf where you wouldn't go Serpent Wards on level 1 and 3? Unless with heal, you'd go heal wave sometimes on level 1 to defend an all-in or something, or save a grunt, but you would always go Serpent Wards level 2 by level 3, right? I don't think there's any situation with Shadowhunter against Night Elf that you wouldn't do that. So that's really the big thing that's missing this game. That was the biggest mistake. Headhunter transition makes sense in such a desperate situation. If you need like piercing damage immediately, yeah, I would say you can build Headhunters. Versus Mass Archer heal is better? No? Yeah, heal. Yeah, I guess Mass Archer, but you would still get wards even in that situation, I think. You would get heal on level 3, but you would still have wards level 1, I think. Because there's just no value to be gained from Hex, really. Short of, like, killing a hero, but there's just not a lot of value there. You'll sometimes see people go Hex and wards, but never heal and Hex. Right? 3 Demolishers, kind of cool. You have your expansion now. You're trying to come back, but I feel as though the Night Elf, let's check. I'm going to say 88 supply. I was actually pretty good. Look at that, 85. All right. And that's just due to the expansion being up, right? And this has just been an elongated snowball effect. I can't believe he was actually above 80 when I made that call. Burning oil. New game supply guesser, yeah. But yeah, the thing with Night Elf, because there's so many options, as GG is called, because there's so many options, you kind of need to know the responses to all these options. And you need to do them quickly. That's why Orc vs. Night Elf is such a tough matchup. Like, if you know the proper answers and you have good scouting, you can very often make the right reaction and win the game without having to really out-micro them or anything like that in the fights. You don't need tremendous micro. You just need to have the right units, hit the right timing, be in the right positioning. But really what against Night Elf comes down to is scouting very well to see their strategy, which you did initially for expansions, right? But you just didn't do it much afterwards, to see what he was creeping, to see what the tech was, to see when he was looking to fight you, to see if he had an expansion later. Right, so it comes down to scouting a lot, and then understanding the proper reactions to the information you gain. Shared that game because I felt like I had a good start and then lost terribly. Yeah, I would say you did play the early game very well. You scouted for the expansion, you pressured the keepers creeping and kept him on level 1 for a while. And then when he sat in the middle at the tavern, you just sort of sat there with him. And then you just let him sort of snowball out of control with a strategy you weren't countering perfectly, right? So I would say just, like, after you lose a game like that, don't necessarily look at the early game or look at your micro in the fights or, you know, look like, oh, I lost my hero there. Look, did I build the right army to counter his army? And did I take like smart fights? Did I expand when I need to? But mostly like, did I have the right units? Did I have the right tech choice to counter his army? And then if you think the answer is no, then think, what should I change it to? Because Orc against Night Elf is constantly a battle for the Orc to find the proper armies. Right now, Hitman is going Blademaster, Shadowhunter, Tinker, Headhunter, Demolisher, Kodo against Keeper Talons. And then when he plays against DH, he goes 2 Beast Raiders into Mass Bat Riders, Liquid Fire. And he was saying, oh, maybe I'm even going to try going Wind Rider, Spirit Walker against Keeper Talons. It's just complete chaos, right? Complete chaos. You have to always be searching for the right army. And that's the big thing, is finding the right weird mixture of units. Because that's what Night Elf is doing. They're doing weird mixtures of units all the time. Right? Complicated matchup. A very complicated matchup, especially against Keeper, because there's just so many strategical options. We're going to take a 5-minute break. And then we got 3 more replays. Stick around. Be right back. All right, we're back. How was that sad piano music? You guys get your Bible thumbs in the chat? I know I did. I had a banana. I finished my tea, I think. Yeah, it's done. It's out of here. And we're going into replay 4. And that will be a... Let's see. Will be a Night Elf against Orc. But from the Night Elf's perspective... Ooh. Right? Yeah, it seems to be an Orc player. It will be on Echo Isles, and it will be a Habitant, who's 1300 MMR. Oh, that's cool, Glass Cannon. All right, replay 4. Let's get through them. We got 3 more replays. We've only gotten through half the replays, and we're like 2 hours into the show. So here we go. 2 hours into the show. All right, let's check out this replay. Do we see some human here? Let me see. Do we have a human? Yep, our next replay will be human. So actually, we have Orc, Night Elf, Human, Undead today. Yeah, we've done we'll do all 4 races today. Woo! And we even get a cheese in there as well, which is kind of dope. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Very cool. Yeah. Great replays. Great replays today. All right, so here's replay 4. Let's check it out. Echo Isles. Back to a map that I actually kind of know how to play. Look at us go. All right. Loading into replay 4. Boom. Confirm that it is an Orc. Okay, it is an Orc opponent. And here we go. So, Habitant. Hope I'm pronouncing that one right. MMR 1300 race in Night Elf replay 4. Here we go. Night Elf against Orc on Echo Isles. One of the few maps where you can actually see a Warden first. Right? You would require an Ancient War here. With the Ancient War here, I'd expect to see either a Demon Hunter, of course, or a Keeper. More often a Keeper. So let's wait and see. Of course, Night Elf in this matchup is the proactive one, right? You can choose what strat to be done. You can choose what hero you want to go. You can choose what the expo timing is. Do you want to all in? What units do you want to go for? You can choose. And then the Orc is generally the one reacting, short of being cheesed, right? If you get Tower Rush, Farsi your Headhunters, then you're sort of forced into a corner. If they Blademaster Naga Tower Rush you, forced into a corner. But short of that, you're the one calling the shots, right? The Orc reacts to you. So let's see. Keeper of the Grove, I would imagine. Demon Hunter, okay. Demon Hunter typically means talons, but it can also mean lures. One thing worth noting is since you're going for a Demon Hunter with this base build, this Moonwell, this is open, right? This is an open base build. Let's confirm. Yeah, it's open. Yeah, that's an open base build. Generally, if you're going to go Demon Hunter, I'd recommend, 1, building your altar way further out, like right here. And then snug that Moonwell right close by so it's blocked. Because you're going to want to... This isn't true with a Keeper, of course, because you're going to be building units out of this sucker right here, right? Which you can't get canceled, or, you know, you don't need units to stay in the back of your base, stuff like that. So I'd recommend keeping that base blocked, build another moonwell up here, another moonwell here, and then eventually block with the Ancient of War or the shop here. And then you have room for your tech buildings right here, or you can even eat some trees and keep them in the back. But right now, your tech buildings are a little bit exposed, and more importantly as well, your wisps are going to be exposed. Why is it important that your wisps are exposed if you're going for wins or lores? Well, because lumber is more important because you're going for tech structures and upgrades. Whereas if you're just going for archers or huntresses with the standard keeper, you don't need that much lumber, right? You're very more often going to be just detonating all those wisps, right?
Your building is complete.
First thing off the hop that I'd recommend, but so far so good. We'll see what happens. Second moonwell should come up. Again, I do believe this to be open. This is open. I'm quite sure. If it isn't, forget all that, except for, reiterating what you're already doing. But Wisp is going out to scout. I like that you're scouting after you build your second moonwell. Good stuff. You knew he was going Farseer? Okay, that makes sense. So in that case, we want to build our base in such a way that we're able to defend against cheeses, right? If we know we're going against a Farseer. Oh, it does? What's that? We want to be able to build our base in such a way that we can defend against cheeses. So if we know it's 100% a Farseer, we'd want more of an open base. We want to be able to get into the back and defend. We want to be able to fit our shop in the back, our Ancient of Wonders. Right? We want to have room for our archers to maneuver around, for our demon hunter to be able to be healed up while defending. We don't want to have an enclosed base if we're going to get tower rushed, which most often when you play against a Farseer as Night Elf, they're going to like tier 2 tower rush you with a Naga or a Tinker second with, 4 grunts. Or they're going to like Raider lame you, in which case, again, open, nice base build with lots of room to put stuff in the back is important as well. But that's the sort of thing. If we know our opponent is going to go Farseer, if we're playing like Razor Man and we know he's going to go Farseer, those are the sort of things we need to be thinking about.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
We see the shop right here. What I would expect to see, of course, you say it's a Farseer. I would be thinking a Blade Master is speed scrolling towards me right now. Which is fine, though. You're probably, if it was a Blade Master, you're going to get this Trapper stolen. But that's fine, because he's going to break on the Trapper. You're going to get a mana burn off. He's going to Windwalk again. He's going to be out of mana, and you're just going to give up 48 experience, which is totally fine. So I think this is good for you. Tacotronic. 8 months, currently on a 4-month streak. Thank you. Appreciate you. Tacotronic, whatever. You tell me. It's all yours. So this is all good. But yeah, this scout does tell me probably a Blade Master speed's going towards me.
Your building is complete.
That's what I would expect. And I would expect him to go boop and steal this Trapper right now. But nope, there's the Farseer. But there are the items that I expect him to have. Now we're just in full defense mode. What do we not want to happen? We don't want to lose too many Wisps. We're probably going to build a couple of extra Wisps because we want to detonate them on the Wolves. So we want to play defensive, keep this Ancient of War alive, get our tech started soon, but we can delay it by a little bit. And ideally get a bunch of mana burns on the Farseer and try to detonate a couple of the Wolves away if we can. That's what we want to do, but super defensive here. No need to overcommit to anything. Yep, nicely detonating there. You get 1 mana burn on him. He'll be down to very low mana. He's got 100 if you mana burn him. There you go. He's got 1 set of Wolves left. Make sure to reproduce these Wisps. You want to be at 21 supply before you tech.
Our warriors have engaged
and we've defended. Good. Still, our tech's going to be late, but we should be building that 1 more Wisp still. We want to have 21 supply Wisps.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
Good. You got both there, I think. This is his last summon of Wolves. Our archers should be helping us here, and we probably shouldn't even be fighting this in the first place. Okay, but see, now we've detonated 3 Wisps. I think we rebuilt 1, right? 19. We should at least be at 20 supply here. We definitely don't want to be sitting at 19. We want to at least be sitting at 20, so we definitely want to be remaking Wisps if we're going to detonate them like that. We'd also, it'd probably be better for us to be putting damage on the Farseer this whole time as well. And also using that archer, of course. So a couple of things we could have done. Oh, this is 2 archers. Yeah, so this is a lot. Yeah, this is a lot of wisps detonated, which could have been helped if we had just not tried to get our tech up so early. Right? Just remember, all you have to do is defend. You can detonate a couple wisps, just remember to reproduce them, but just play nice and calm and passive. Rebuild the wisps, tech like 30 seconds late, you'll be totally fine. Now you're going to be short lumber the entire game. Your defense has been good in that his Farseer's out of mana and the wolves haven't gotten any wisp kills. Like, he's probably at 0 experience. Let's see. He got 1 wisp kill from this guy right here that killed the wisp down here. But other than that, your defense has been really good. You just didn't reproduce wisps, which is probably a very simple reason why you're going to lose this game. How many wisps should you have on lumber? You should have 9 ideally. Let me do that math really quick to confirm that I'm not spewing bullshit. Yeah, you should have 9 on lumber. But if you have 8, that's acceptable. Anything lower than 8 is very rough. But you should have 9. That means 9 plus 5 plus 5, that's 19. And then your archer gets you to 21. That's why I keep saying 21, right? So then if you're at 20 supply, that means you only have 8 on lumber. If you're at 19, that means you only have 7. And we saw him at 19 supply with 2 archers. So that means he was down 4 wisps. That means he has 5 on lumber. We can probably even count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 on lumber. Which is going to mean that he's going to have very, very limited lumber on tier 2. And that's probably going to cost the game. This shop, certainly not something we'd want to build when we're so low on wisps, because now we have 4 on lumber. We have 4. We have 4 right away on lumber. So again, I reiterate, the defense was fine. There was a couple of micro errors, but the defense was still all right. What wasn't fine was not reproducing those wisps. That's it. That's the only big mistake so far. Mana burn again, that's good. He certainly can't do anything here, especially against this amount of archers. And you can't get a shredder on this map. If there's a map where you could get a shredder, I would say, oh, this is fine, you just buy a shredder with that 100 lumber you have, right? But in this situation, you can't get a shredder, so...
Your building is complete.
And now look, our tech's going to be done. We're going to be able to afford a second hero and nothing else. All right. This is even a situation where maybe you could just get a Naga second and just go pure archers. Not even build the Huntress Hall for a while. Just go pure archers because you're so low on wood. Yeah, that could make sense going into wins because you don't need a Huntress Hall, but you're still going to be short on lumber because, look, he hits tier 2. Now he's got to rebuild 3 wisps at least so that he's not completely dead on lumber, and then he's got to tech tier 3, and then he's got to wait for enough lumber to get wins up. So no matter what he does here, he's going to be late because he has to rebuild wisps if he wants to go tier 3. He can't just, even though he could afford it almost, he's still got to rebuild wisps, right? So you get a second hero, and that's it. You're done right now. Which is why I think just only building archers here might be a decent choice. And then reproducing wisps, trying to get a second base up right now, might be a decent idea. There's a Naga second. Expect to see maybe a tower rush with that. We see headhunters as well. I would be getting ready to be tower rushed right now. How can we deal with that? A second Ancient of War, getting a secondary hero, something like a Naga yourself, or a Panda, or a Keeper, something like that would be great. And playing very defensive, of course. Using a Moonstone right now would be a decent choice because you have lots of extra gold, so just might as well use it early, getting your 4th Moonwell in the back. That'd be great. You get a Pit Lord. Debatable. It's still fine. Yeah, and here are the peons. That's, as I said, you expect to be tower rushed if you see a Farseer, and especially if you see a Naga second, expect to be tower rushed. Probably going to buy a staff to get back. Boots. Certainly not something I would buy right now. What you want to do when you get tower rushed, by the way, in this situation, let's take a look. I might be completely wrong when I say this, but let's take a chance. Let's take a look at the Orc's lumber. He does have reinforced defenses, by the way, if I'm seeing that right. Oh, he's not actually getting them. Okay, so he doesn't have reinforced defenses. Okay, his lumber's pretty good. His lumber's pretty good. But say, for instance, you want to get reinforced defenses. There's 175 down. Cut the lumber in half that he has, so he has 150 left. Say we cancel both these towers. He loses 50. He has 100 left, and then he can afford to rebuild like you know, a couple more towers, right? So the thing with getting tower rushed by Orc is you should always be focusing on canceling the towers as soon as they build them. You can sort of ignore the army. It's going to be tough to do for a long while, but you should certainly try to. As soon as you see these towers going up, in every matchup when you're getting tower rushed by Orc, try to cancel them immediately. Immediately. Just one attack and one shot from each of the archers and cancel them, and then go and hide in the back of your base. And then when he puts up the towers again, do it again, and eventually he runs out of lumber, especially if he gets reinforced defenses, which he's not getting, which he probably should get, if I were to say. All right. But for now, just, yeah. Again, this is what you should be focusing on, canceling these towers. Pit Lord's coming in. You could, instead of buying the boots, you could have bought a staff, unless it's been taken. No, it hasn't been taken. Using a Moonstone would be great. Continue to build archers would be great. Building an AP would also be great. Hey, Starshape hosted. What's up, dude? Thanks. Appreciate it. But again, you haven't canceled the towers. Right now the towers are up. And look how well you're doing in this fight. Imagine you use a Moonstone, you have an AP coming up in the back, you maybe get one bear out for rejuve. Dryads would probably be better, but you could make an argument for that. Imagine you cancel the towers first of all, and then you take this fight. Look, this is winnable with just a Demon Hunter and a Pit Lord. Everything, these headhunters are about to fall. His Naga's getting low and running out of mana. His Farseer's out of mana. The only thing that's losing you this fight is now there's 2 towers up that you can't deal with, and they're about to kill your shop and your Ancient War and your Huntress Hall. Right? That's the only thing losing you this fight, is that you haven't prioritized canceling these towers. You prioritize trying to win the fight, which should be your second priority after getting rid of these towers, right? And also imagine if your Pit Lord was back earlier with a staff, or your Naga was back, or your Panda. I think Panda would be best choice here. Maybe there's a debate to be had there that Naga would be better, but I think Panda would be best. You buy the Panda right away, you buy a staff. Circlet's fine, you had extra gold. Staff back. Easy peasy defense, AP in the back. Keep building archers. No problems. But now, oh, he does have reinforced. Was there a bug on the burrows? Oh, sorry. Okay, there was a bug on the burrows. Okay. My bad. So he's got plenty of lumber, but must have been bugged. That's funny, Jumbo. All right. See, the only thing losing you this fight is now there's 2 towers. Now there's 2 towers. One thing Night Elves don't use enough as well is Moonstones. Spam those Moonstones. They're cheap. Use them off cooldown. Get more Moonwell juice. Get your 4th Moonwell up. Spam them Moonstones. It's not great, but it's going to give you an extra 100, 150 health in the fight. And you can afford it, so you might as well use it. Is it the same thing for human towers? Yeah, I'd recommend going for the towers as soon as they come up, if possible. Yes. But more importantly for Orc, because you can't kill them now. You cannot. There's no way you're going to kill them with reinforced towers. Remember, AP this whole time in the back coming up would be great. Just slap down an AP. Now you're using a Moonstone, but imagine if you'd used a Moonstone right away, even when it was still nighttime. Now the second Moonstone would be off cooldown, and you buy that one. You just continuously buy Moonstones off cooldown. No, Moonstones will extend the night, right? Is that how they work? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. It extends the night, right? I might be wrong there. Maybe don't even listen to me. Moonstones certainly do extend the night. All right, good. Yeah, so using a Moonstone consistently off of off cooldown. Oh, right. Yeah, what they do is they extend the night and then they go over the daytime. So it doesn't disrupt the cycle. It doesn't disrupt this cycle. It will just be daytime a little bit further in once the Moonstone goes out, right? I think, maybe? No, that doesn't make sense. How do Moonstones work? Someone help me. Starshaped, help me. How do Moonstones work? They certainly work at night, right? We got to figure this out, guys. We got to... I always assumed they just worked at night as well, and there was some way that it fixed the clock after you use them. It extends the night, kinda? I trust Eric. Eric in the chat, I trust you. So then, if it pauses night, it disrupts the cycle of day and nighttime then, so then it won't be the same time in, like, the in-game clock on the replay, right? Sezix, thanks for the prime. Appreciate you. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm going with Moonstones still work at night, and you should use them off cooldown when you're getting all in. I don't think it's a game-breaking thing in this situation, but, you know, say they did work, you'd have maybe 100 moon juice here on each moonwell. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Worth figuring out though for yourself. I'm not a Night Elf player. What can I say? It's not a detail I needed to know. Not a detail I needed to know. But yes, more importantly, you should have canceled the towers, of course, and had an AP up, and maybe knock on Pit Lord. But now there's towers up. Even if the Orc had no units right now, he's still going to have 3 reinforced towers up and 2 heroes. That's all he needs. Yeah, you could have built an extra Ancient of War. I would say having an AP here would be more value because your Ancient of War was so well positioned already. Maybe uprooting this, but I think just spamming archers would have been a decent choice as opposed to uprooting it. Yeah, second Ancient of War has totally been fine. Would have totally been fine as well. Build an Ancient of War right here, build an AP right here, cancel the towers, you know, staff back with the panda. A lot of things you could do, but yeah, an Ancient of War if you could afford it, which you could have, of course. Probably would have been decent in an aggressive position. Sure, yeah. And Pit Lord, although it may be fun, you are getting tower rushed, so what the fun comes when you get tower rushed and you hold it, and the dude never tower rushes you again. That's the fun. That's the fun. There's no moral victory when there's towers in your base. And 4th Moonwell, of course, there's a lot of things you could have done with the buildings you produced, right? The 4th Moonwell maybe here. Even building a 5th Moonwell would have been decent. Pit Lord's dead, or the Pit Lord and the Farseer's dead, and notice, winnable if there weren't towers. You could go back, you could heal, you could fight again, right? You saw him tear through his headhunters, though? True. But a panda would be similar. A panda would be similar. See, a few adjustments you could make there. Just being more proactive with your gold, realizing that you're getting all in. As I said, when I see a Farseer, I'm already getting prepared in my head for an all-in as a Night Elf player. When I see the Naga second, I'm even more so getting prepared. So AP, Ancient of War, 4th Moonwell, build more archers, maybe use that Moonstone thing. You know, a defensive hero like a Tinker or a Panda or a Naga. What else? Keep building archers. I wouldn't even get the lores necessarily. I would just keep building archers till you defend. Maybe 1 lore would be great, but you built 2 lores at the end. A lot of good things. What a Moonstone does is completely stops game time, so it can be used day or night. If you use at night, it makes night longer. If used in day, that period, get that night period during the day. But the day total length is still the same, because it was essentially paused. Okay. That's how I intuitively believed it to be. But when I actually try to like figure it out in my head, like, wait, doesn't that disrupt the day-night cycle and make it so it's like, you know, because like the Ogre Mauler spawns in daytime. If you use a Moonstone, does it not spawn in daytime? That's what sort of confused me. But I'm sure that it does something at night, right? Is there a reason why you shouldn't creep your Blade Master if you fail to harass with him? That is a very general question, kind of hard to answer for myself. Okay, replay number 5. Thank you for that replay, Habitant. Replay number 5 will be, is this the highest MMR replay we have? Yes, it is. 1,500 MMR human player. Whoever was asking for human, here you go. Here you go. We'll be human against undead. What map will it be on? Let's find out. Is there a better or worse race for War 3 starter? Probably the general consensus is Undead because you can do one build order with Undead in every matchup. Doesn't mean Undead's the easiest, but it just means for a beginner, you don't have to learn tons of build orders and different heroes and stuff. Okay, replay 5. What map are we on? Amazonia. Human against undead on Amazonia. Okay, already, just looking at this, I'm thinking possibly one base human, right? Possibly one base human. You just open Pandora's box? Yeah. Absolutely. Undead's very hard to micro, though. Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, undead OP. So, human as the human against undead on Amazonia. I'm already thinking one base rifle caster. We'll see if we get there. If an expansion, I'm thinking if the expansion goes poorly, perhaps you didn't pull the rock golem with the footman, which is a little bit of a tricky high-level play. But so this will be Blavon. B-L-A-V-O-N. Blavon. Blavon? Blavon? Blavon. Blavon. Blavon, 1,500 MMR, human player, human against undead on Amazonia, replay 5. Here we go. I'm going to load in. I appreciate you guys sending in shorter replays today because, you know, we're already almost 2.5 hours in. We're 5 replays in. Imagine if all these replays were like 25, 30 minutes. Keeping them under 15 is beauty because then I can get a bunch of replays in, right? All right. Here's replay 5. Oh, we're going here. You guys didn't see that build order. You guys didn't see his build order because we are the human player and we haven't scouted yet. We do know we're against undead though. So let's see. So far, this is looking good, dude. You got a nice big base build. Your altar's on the right side. Everything's on time. As I said, this is the highest MMR game from today, so this is where I become toxic towards Blavon, okay? This is it.
Job's done.
All right, let's see that Archmage.
Job's done.
Paladin! All right. Oh, wait a second, guys. Wait a second. Wait a second. Blavon had a message, actually, that I just read, and I might have been wrong from the start. He says, hello, Professor Carson. I'm 20... What's that? Let me go back to me. I'm a 22-year-old French random player at 1,500 MMR, and recently, as Undead, I got destroyed twice by Paladin Acolyte Harass. Then I decided to try it because I play human as well. Okay, I was right. Would be awesome to have the Carson's eye about this very pain-in-the-ass cheese to point out some solutions to counter it. Big fan of your work. Can't wait for next episode. Okay. Important. Blavon is playing human, so I was right there. But he's playing human as an undead player, and he's trying to abuse the undead with Paladin. So he wants me to, one, look at his play as human, but also talk about how the undead should counter it. Important. I'm glad I checked that. I remembered, oh, Paladin. I remember someone said something about Paladin. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Paladin, I love Paladin against undead. I love it. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Job's done. Job's done.
All right. So we won't focus too heavily on what Blavon could improve on, because of course he's testing a strategy to figure out how to counter it. And this is also great. This is a great little lesson in learning how to counter things. Playing off races is a great way to learn, because you figure out the nuances of like what's annoying for a human player. Like, for instance, let's think, as an undead player, what could you do? Well, maybe the acolyte comes in, the scout acolytes, and just starts attacking this peasant that's building the farm. Now, if you hadn't played human and realized how annoying that was, maybe you wouldn't think that's even worth doing. Or the scout acolyte blocks the militia. If you haven't played human, you wouldn't realize how short the militia duration is, and maybe you wouldn't realize that, oh, I can't finish this camp and this camp if my militia gets blocked by the acolyte. So you learn little things by playing your off races. Back in time for Mark Carson, woohoo, Moonstruck, 48 months. Thank you very much. You learn these little nuances that are like, this is what really annoys me when I play this race as human, orc, undead, night elf, right? So off racing is helpful for these reasons. You learn little weird nuances. That's why I recommend everyone plays a little bit of off race in your spare time, especially for things like this. Like, oh, I don't know how to beat this strat, so I'll play it myself. Gonna scout with a footman, pretty good.
Job's done.
Let's take a look at what our good friend the Undead is doing. DK, Ted Fiends. So far, so standard. Okay, there is a shop. I was like, ooh, where's the shop? So the Undead doesn't know yet. He just thinks it's standard right now.
Our forces are under attack.
Paladin gonna creep up. Of course, you're trying to get level 3 Paladin as early as you can because you want to go and kill some Acolytes with Divine Shield, right? That's the whole idea. So this is a great map for that. You could keep... I would keep the Militia right now and keep creeping this. Okay, he's coming in to kill peasants. The Undead should not be doing this, though, of course, because he should have been creeping this. Or creeping this. And he should have also scouted and saw Paladin. Then after he crept that, then he should have come harassing. You should never really insta-harass a human anymore. Never really insta-harass, because then you're going to be stuck on level 1. It's similar to like when an orc player with a Blade Master instantly harasses with level 1 Blade Master. You're stuck on level 1 Blade Master against an undead the whole time. So you'd love to creep one camp, get close to level 2, then you can come harass and get ideally level 2, level 2.5 off the harassment. This is level 2. Why shouldn't Undead creep their lab? Well, he could. But the thing with creeping your lab is you use mana to creep the lab. You use health to creep the lab because you're lightning shielding. And you use 2 rods of necromancy generally to creep your lab, right? Whereas this, you can creep it with like 1 coil and your skeletons are alive. And then you go from creeping this as the undead. And you're expecting an expansion by default as the undead. You take your 4 skeletons from here after you finish creeping this, your 1.7. You send your 4 skeletons into the main base and start attacking peasants. And then you're harassing his expansion with your DK that was already in a forward position. You can do the same from here, right? You're already in position to harass. Whereas here, you use a lot of health. You use 2 coils. You use 2 rods that are going to expire soon. You can't use the skeletons to harass, and your Death Knight has to run all the way down. So if you start with this camp, not only are your skeletons in a good position to go to the main base and harass, but your Death Knight's in a good position to go to the expansion and harass, which is why this is a more standard creep route. Right? So that's what I would expect to see the Undead to do. That's what, for instance, Happy and 120 do. Most often. There may be situations where they don't, and maybe they change it up sometimes, but that's what I've seen most often. But this instant harass stuff isn't done anymore by top Undeads. Used to be back in the day. Not anymore. This is good. You're just killing the skeletons. We can notice he's already used a lot of rods. And this is one of those things. Blavon is an undead player, so he realizes if I just attack the skeletons, the undead, you know, he needs to find a corpse. He's only got a couple of charges left. He can't really creep anything or do any damage now that he's wasted all these skeletons. So Blavon as an undead player understands to kill these skeletons, but Blavon as a human player might not understand that you just kill all the skeletons. What is he going to do? And then you creep. This is one of those details, right? He realizes how annoying this is for the undead. The undead just wants you to leave the skeletons alone. He wants to attack your paladin with them. He wants to go creep with them. He wants to scout with them. But no, you just kill him. Hold. Nice. Forces the coil. Unbelievable. And now surround. This guy is out of his mind, Blavon. What could the undead have done better at this point, you would ask? Not be harassing right now. Not be harassing. Now Blavon is going to get a free expansion. You imagine the undead had those 4 skeletons in the main base. Yeah, there's an arcane tower, but you could have brought them to the expansion for harassing. He didn't have to town portal. He didn't use all of his Rod of Necromancy charges on that harass, and he wasn't completely out of position now. He'd be here, ready to harass the Expo, and the Expo's a lot harder with a Paladin. The Expo's a lot harder with the Paladin because you don't have water elementals, right? And you don't have sustain. Oh, you don't have sustain because you don't have brilliance aura. Sorry, I was sitting up. Back here chilling. I'm doing my show. I'm fucking chilling. No, okay. Footman gonna fall. Second footman gonna fall. This is why we need water elementals. Undead not in position to do anything. Potion of greater heal. Free expansion for Blavon. Blavon. And now level 3 Paladin, and you know what? The undead could come down here at this point and deny the expansion. And then he kills maybe 3 peasants, maybe 4 peasants. The peasants run home or defended by the arcane tower, and you know what Blavon's going to do? He's going to run into the undead's base and kill every single acolyte. So now you're trading your entire economy as the undead to deny a potential expansion for the human. So now, with the undead being so out of position, he's probably taking his lab right now. Yeah, he's about to take his lab. The undead really has no chance of stopping this expansion efficiently. Right? Efficiently. So now the human is just chilling. Human's completely chilling. He can go buy boots and staff. Buy boots and staff, Blavon. Give it to me. Give me the boots and staff. Come on. Boots. Buy the staff. Buy it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Clean. Okay, don't creep this though. Just go into the main base. Because you imagine now, if Blavon gets caught out of position, the undead comes here and he's about to kill every peasant. Now Blavon's in no position really to counterattack efficiently. It's going to take him ages to get here. In the meantime, he's going to lose every peasant and the undead's going to TP. So creeping this is super risky. Super risky. But you're already level 3 Paladin, so. And now your footmen are also being weakened. Although you can Holy Light, but you're not going to use the Holy Light anymore for harassment. Footmen are weakened, right? Super risky with low payoff, yeah. Yeah, I would say this is your biggest mistake so far this game. This is your biggest mistake. Maybe your only mistake, in fact.
Job's done.
Couple of peasant cycles maybe forgotten about here and there. I would recommend building a lumber mill right away to all you human players that are fast expanding. Lumber mill is very good. Because lumber is going to be the real killer. If your lumber is low, you lose the game. If your lumber is good and you keep your heroes alive against undead with a fast expansion, you're swimming. You're swimming. Okay, now we're going to Divine Shield harass for the rest of the game, I imagine. Replenishment Potion is amazing as well. And you might ask, how do I deal with this? It may be obvious to the higher level players, but to the lower level player, you might be saying, there's absolutely no way to deal with this. There's 3. There's 3 ways to deal with this. 3? Yeah, probably 3. Let's say 2.5. There's 2.5 ways to deal with this. After this harass, we'll talk about it. Staff's out. And now we can heal up and do it all over again. The 3 ways to deal with this are, anyone in the chat, could you help me out? The 2.5 ways. 2.5 ways. 1 is kind of like more of a meme than it actually is a proper way of defending this. There's more so 2.
Our town is under siege.
Yep, of course. Good. Someone says rage quit. Oh, yeah, people are even thinking of more. Yeah. So let's say there's 3.5 then. 3.5. And then there's another half. So let's say there's 4. There's 3 and 2 halves. Let's write them down. There's 3. There's 3, and then there's a half of 1. And then there's another half of 1, and there's 4. That's 5. There's 4 in total. But there's 2 that aren't necessarily important. Okay, let's write them down. Gonna get my notepad. The first one is block base. Paladin can't get in. The Paladin needs on level 3 1 attack and then a Holy Light. And he'll kill an Acolyte. If he can't get that 1 attack, he has to use 2 Holy Lights to kill an Acolyte. That's the first way to deal with it. You can block your base. Which you should normally be doing as an Undead player against Human or Night Elf. You should be keeping 1 Ziggurat space to block your base if you need to. And then if you don't need to, against a Paladin or something like that, you just keep that space open. So you should build your base in such a way that you have the possibility as an Undead player to block it if you need to. So block base. Number 2 is Zeppelin. Just like as a Human against Warden, you pick up your Peasants, you pick up your Acolytes when the Paladin comes in. That's going to waste a lot of gold, though, right? Because you're going to be not mining when they're picked up. But you can get a Zeppelin to save your Acolytes into the Zeppelin. What else can you get? Let me write this out. I'll write this whole out. You can get Anti-Magic Shield, which you can just put on the Acolytes. It lasts, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 minutes. It lasts 2 minutes. That's a good way to deal with it. You can pair that with the Zeppelin, right? And if the anti-magic runs out, then you use the Zeppelin, and if not, then you can just chill there. 90 seconds? Okay, a minute and a half. Still pretty good, right? What else can you do? To defend your tech, so that you can tech safely, you can get a second Necropolis. So that you can tech to tier 2 and tier 3 safely, just like against a Warden as Undead, and rebuild your Acolytes while you're teching so you don't miss out on that economy. That's sort of the halfway of dealing with it. That's one of the halfways. The other halfway would be, and this is kind of a meme, is Sacrificial Pit, which you can bring your Acolyte, you can put 1 Acolyte into the Sacrificial Pit and then cancel the shade and it comes back out alive. So you can't really, this is why it's a meme, you can't save 5 Acolytes, you can save 1 at a time, but you could still save a Acolyte with like that. So you need to build 5 Sacrificial Pits, which isn't really worth it. But hey man, if you want to build 5 Sacrificial Pits to save your Acolytes, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. So there's 3 and 2 halves ways of dealing with Paladin Harass, and similarly against Warden Harass as well, which is common. Yeah, or you can make a Dreadlord and sit there, but the issue with that is there's Divine Shield, right? So, all right, there we go. How realistic, except for the first one? Then count keeping your DK in your base to heal your Acolytes too. Well, I would say the Zeppelin and the Anti-Magic Shield are pretty realistic, because you're going to want Anti-Magic against Paladin anyway, and against Warden anyway. The Zeppelin is very possible because we're on Amazonia and you can get one right there, and Paladin can't shoot up. So the first 3 are very possible. First 3 are very possible. Second, or even the 4th is very possible as well, and I would recommend it. The 5th is the only one that's not really possible. Right? Not all maps have Zeppelins, which is why this can be rough on maps like Echo Isles. But again, focus on blocking your base whenever possible. Because remember, if you block your base, they can't get a Zeppelin either, so they can't Zeppelin drop their Paladin on you. So if your base is blocked, it's blocked for good, and they need to get Footmen or something else in there, right? So remember, although you can't buy a Zeppelin, neither can they. Back to the replay.
Our town is under siege. Upgrade complete.
Yep, just keep Holy Light in the Death Knight. Good. This is beautiful. Expect to see a reveal from Blavon soon. And a Clarity behind a Divine Shield once he has enough mana. That's the great thing about going Divine Shield as well. Not just to save your Paladin, but also to safely get more mana. Clarity. Even if he blocks, you can use 2 Holy Lights for 1 Echo. I would say that's totally fine for the Undead. Pair the base block with a second Necropolis. He uses 2 Holy Lights for 1 Acolyte. He can only kill 2, and you just replace them right away. Totally fine for you. Death Knight's dead.
Research complete.
Felt like I just right-clicked an Intelligence Tome. Killing everything. Paladin is really strong here, right? But this has just been micro issues, right, for the Undead. This hasn't really been a strategical error, except for in dealing with the harassment. He just sort of had a low Death Knight. He got surrounded early game, and then he let his Death Knight die because he didn't keep it high enough hit points against the Paladin. If he had microed well here, he probably could have even broken this expansion. But it all comes down to getting surrounded early, and then getting owned by the harass a little bit, right? I love Paladin first against Undead, by the way. I love it. I love it. It's so cool.
Job's done.
Towering up, because why not? You're very much ahead with the expansion. The Death Knight's dead, so he cannot continue the pressure. If he does, he will lose his Lich to Holy Lights over and over again. So towering is a good choice for Blavon, who's probably going to go into tanks. And if you lose to tanks, it's not because tanks are imba, it's because you probably were really behind to start with. Another Fiend is going to fall, probably even 2 Fiends. There you go, there goes one. Fine shield, going to kill another one. And this is just a matter of the Death Knight being dead, right? Anti-magic shield should be teched into, of course. It should be a priority before even destroyers, I would say here. So like once you hit, you're going from tier 2 to tier 3, probably get that temple up to avoid this sort of stuff happening. Also, of course, a Dark Ranger third is great, or a Dreadlord third. Something to disable. Probably Dark Ranger's better, more consistent. The thing about getting a Dreadlord, though, is it also helps you if there is tanks. And Paladin on 2 base kind of screams tanks. This many towers kind of screams tanks. And it also screams, this human player is actually an Undead player. Oh, yeah. Nice. Nice, dude. I feel like you're proving a point here. But yeah, Dreadlord is good because it helps you Carrion Swarm, right? Deal with the tanks a bit better. Is a reason maybe the Undead should get that as a third hero, and then you can sleep the Paladin.
Job's done.
Paired with Anti-Magic Shield. Still a winnable game for the Undead, because he can break these towers. They're not upgraded yet. It looks intimidating, but there's 1 tower here. I imagine the Undead has tier 3 done. No, he doesn't even have tier 3 done. So his tier 3 tech is like over 2 minutes delayed. Not because of the harass. I think he just missed macroed, honestly. Because right now it's 11.5 minutes into the game. The tier 3 tech's just now finishing. You imagine he rebuilt 2 Acolytes. Let's say that cost him 40 seconds. A minute. Then his tech should have still been done like a minute and a half ago, right? And it's only now finishing. So could have had destroyers at that push. You imagine the Undead had 1 destroyer or 2 at that push. Game would have been probably over. The expansion would have been broken. This would all have been for naught. Human would have been stuck on tier 2. Even the main base isn't that secure against 2 destroyers. Undead probably could have won with some cleaner macro. And not losing the Death Knight, of course. Not losing all those Fiends, of course. But now Blavon is about to be level 5 Paladin. Show me the tanks. Or is he just going to go Sorks for Invis? Who knows?
Upgrade complete.
I love Paladin.
Upgrade complete.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if the human does secure all these towers, the good thing the undead could do is just creep everything. Not let the paladin or the secondary hero get any creeps and just creep everything. That's probably the best case scenario, but you're still going to let this happen if you're creeping the map, right? You're still going to let this happen. Undead could definitely have a Zeppelin here, though. His base could definitely be blocked here, and he could definitely have Banshees as well ready right now. Let's look at his economy. Plenty of lumber, plenty of gold. Could have had a Temple of the Damned up already, right? So this Acolyte Harass, although it seems like what am I supposed to do against it, the Undead has about 3 or 4 ways that he's not doing to deal with this right now, right? But this does look really fun. Main base, not going to be broken. Don't worry, guys.
Our forces are under attack.
Couple of destroyers, maybe 3 destroyers with mana, you'd be able to break this, but without those, you're not going to break this. I'd recommend a shredder too, Blavon. I'd recommend a shredder here. If you want to build this many towers, just get a shredder. Footmen come in. And he leaves the game. All right, good. Good. Thank you very much. That's a very cool sort of submission. I appreciate that. I'm glad I read it to double check what you wrote. That's great. That's a great submission. I'm sure a lot of people struggle against that strategy, but just remember these things. Just remember these things when that happens to you. Remember these things. And then if he ends up tanking you, then it gets into a sort of another level of complexity, but just get past the immediate harass. All right, last and final replay of the day, replay number 6, will be an Orc replay against Human, 1400 MMR, and it's from the Rookie Tournament. If you guys are aware that there's a Rookie Tournament, I actually don't know the name of it. If there's someone in the chat that knows the name of it and knows where you can sign up, that'd be great. But there's a Rookie Tournament, and actually the prize for the Rookie Tournament is you get some coaching. Why are they doing it like that? Of course, so that people don't come in with Smurfs and just win the prize, win the $100 or whatever, you know, win the first place prize. So they offer coaching as a reward for winning the tournament. So I believe this is a match from that tournament. I think they do it once a month. Don't know where you can find it, unfortunately, but maybe if you ask in the gym Discord. If you go gym.backtowarcraft.com and you ask there, you should be able to find it. I'll write that down for you guys. Gym. Type .backtowarcraft.com. If you go there and you ask for it, you'll be able to find this tournament. That's a dot right there, by the way. It's a dot right here. Thank you, and there's a link to the Discord in the chat. There's a dot right there. So you can find it there. But this replays from that tournament. So it's 1400 MMR. An Orc player is who we're going to be watching against a Human player. A matchup I love. And the player will be Stonsosedki. 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 All right, Stonsosedki? Ston. I'm calling him Ston. You guys will see what his name is. You'll help me pronounce it. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm so stupid, dude. Jesus. It's rough out here. It's rough out here. All right, this is the final replay of the day. And what map will it be on? It will be on Northern Isles. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So I would expect to see in this meta right now, knowing what I know, I'd expect to see Farseer Headhunters and do what you do, what Lynn did in episode 11, right? 6 Headhunters, transition into Grunts, get a 40 supply expansion with Grunt Shaman, get a Witch Doctor, play nice hit and run until your Tauren Chieftain gets level 3, that sort of stuff. But since this replay is a little bit old, we might see something different. So I'll try to look at it through a lens of this is from a different time. You know, like a month ago, a few weeks ago, something like that. Because the meta has changed very recently for this matchup. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Here we go. And here's our Orc player. The Ston man. The Ston man. Hey, Lord Mate. With the tier 1 for 5 months. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Let's see what happens. So this will actually be Farseer Headhunters. Good. So we can critique it as though it is in the current meta. Unless it's a fast tech. It could be a fast tech, but it could be Farseer Headhunters as well. If there's a Warmill coming up right now. Alright, it's not. So it's just going to be a fast tech, which is totally acceptable. We talk a lot about this build in episode 1 from the human's perspective, but we do talk about the orc as well on this map in particular. So you can go watch that and watch episode 11 if you want more details on this matchup in particular. We've done human versus orc and orc against human from both perspectives at this point, so plenty to learn. There's the Farseer. Good. Fast tech gonna come through. Can anyone in the chat tell me when the orc's tech should finish by if they do a fast tech without a barracks? Does anyone know? Can I remember that even? I think I do. That's when it starts. Good. That's when it starts. You're right. 1:50 is when it will start. When will it finish, though? Roughly. Here's attack. I believe it's 4 minutes and 10 seconds is when it's supposed to finish. It starts at 1:50. Should be, yeah, it's 4 minutes, 10 seconds to 4 minutes, 20 seconds around there. So the barracks is coming up. Farseer are going to go up. What you should do, it's very important as the orc player to know what you should do with your first set of wolves. Of course, you should summon your first set of wolves immediately. What does that do? Well, essentially, you're wasting mana by not allowing yourself to regenerate mana. So summoning your first set of wolves right away allows your mana regen to start right away. And then you still get all the good stuff from this first set of wolves. So it's essentially free, but you should summon it as early as possible. So that's one thing you should do. And then the question is, I've summoned them very early. What do I do with them? Well, we have to make sure what the human is creeping. So we send our Farseer forward. We might meet the human right here if he creeps the green camp, because he's going to creep this green camp. And then he's going to run down here. He's going to try to creep this for level 2. Another possibility the human could do is he could initially creep this. So that's why we're going to send one wolf here to the Tuskar. Another thing the human could do is go for an immediate fast expansion. So we send another wolf here. So that's what we do with our 2 wolves. One left, one right, Farseer down the middle. If we see him right here, that means he did the green camp first. And this is something we should work out on every map. What do we do with our first set of wolves? And try to just figure out the most efficient way to use them. So we'll see. We'll see. Small detail, but you know, you're not doing anything else in the early game like this. So you might as well do that. Scout with your wolves, use that mana right away. He gets a shop early because use it or lose it, bucko. I agree with that. Okay, one wolf is going towards the expo. That's good. And one wolf is going towards the Tuskar. Very good. Good stuff. On every map, we should be thinking of stuff like that. And we see we're going to meet the human right here. Okay, the human's going into his base. Ah, the human's doing a 2-farm tech. Who could tell me what a 2-farm tech means? Anyone? This human's good. Like, this human seems really good. This seems like a super high-level game. Definitely not 1400 MMR. Like, so far, I know they haven't even, like, attacked each other once, but this seems really good. This seems really good. Hi, Flame. Flame, you don't know? Please tell me you know, Flame. Please tell me you know. Means mayhem, yeah. It means rifle caster. Okay, good, Flame. Thank you, Flame. It means rifle caster. It means rifle caster, and it means he's probably going to have his tech done slightly after yours. Your Tauren Chieftain's going to start. And his tech's going to be finished 20 seconds after that. So your Tauren Chieftain will be a little under halfway done. And his Mountain King will be starting then, right? And then when his Mountain King comes out, he's going to call militia. He's probably going to creep this camp. And then after he creeps the expo, he's probably going to pull this shop and creep the item away from the shop. We can make all those assumptions just based on only seeing 2 farms right here. And it will be rifle caster. All right? That's my guess. It would be 2 Sanctum Casters if we saw a 3rd farm and a tower generally. That's the more common opening build. When we see 2 farms like this and a tech before the tower, expect to see rifles. That's my guess. That's my guess. Yeah, this is really good. The human's playing very passive. He's sitting in his base, not overcommitting. The orc player isn't overcommitting either. They're both playing really well. Much above their pay grade. Their presumed pay grade. Back at home, of course, Grunt's coming out. 3rd burrow, again, macroing safely so you don't forget things. Like, for instance, you built this shop earlier rather than later because there's a chance you forget it and then you're like, oh, I don't have salves, right? So you built it right away, which I like. You're building this 3rd burrow earlier rather than later so you're not like, shit, I don't have my 3rd burrow. I can't get my shamans out, you know? So I like that you're proactively macroing as opposed to like just forgetting them. Although it might be a little bit inefficient, it's still good. It's still good. It's like when a human builds an extra farm just because they don't want to forget their farm, you know? It's really good. Hey, Asliv gifted a sub to C Crank. First gifted sub, I appreciate that. Thank you. Still very good. The human's chilling out. The human could be doing a better job of trying to pressure you off, but you have been microing very well. Damage on the Archmage over the Footman. This is very good. This is crucial. Alright, so I will call him just Ston then. Sky Hamster, thank you. This is good, man. If you were to tell me this is like a top-level game so far, I would believe you. This is crazy. This is crazy. The human's playing very safely as well because he's waiting for this tower to be finished before he moves out. And then once the tower's finished, as we do confirm Rifle Caster, once this tower's finished, then he feels like he can move out. Totally cool. Totally cool. Very well done. The tier 2's finished. What did I say? When your Tauren Chieftain is about just under 50% done, that's when the human's tech should be finished. We won't click on it. We'll just see if I'm right or not. By the way, it's 4 minutes and 12 seconds in-game time. So yeah, like 4 minutes, 10 seconds is when your tech finishes, to answer my previous question. The human's scouting perfectly on time to see the tech. This game is... They just changed the names and sent me a pro game. This guy, he's going to see now. He's going to see the tech, which most likely you'd expect a Spirit Lodge from the human, but he'd see if it's Raiders or Wind Riders. He'll see the 2nd hero, but like a perfectly timed Footman Scout from the human. Incredible. Incredible.
We're under attack.
All right, first Grunt comes in. Of course, we want to be posturing in such a way that we can set up our Tauren Chieftain when it comes out to creep. So we want to eventually be sending these Grunts back to probably position here or position here so we can immediately start creeping that Tauren Chieftain up to level 3 once it comes out. We don't want to linger with our Grunts for too long because we want to creep our TC. That's our priority on tier 2. We can keep our Farseer over here, but TC wants to be creeping. TC wants to be creeping. We're getting close to that 20-second after our tech is finished mark. Okay, it's now 20 seconds. Let's check the human's tech. Was I right? Was I wrong? All right, I'm a little bit off. It's going to be done in like 10 seconds. All right. But TC's forgotten. Macro issues. Everything was perfectly done. Now the macro's slipping a bit for our boy, which is costly because now our TC is 30 seconds late. It's getting to be more than 30 seconds late, and we'll keep an eye on it. So the harass has been great, but now our TC's 40 seconds late. Okay, 40 seconds late. A level 1 hero takes 55 seconds to build, so our hero would be out in 15 seconds. So if it being 40 seconds late, that's the entire time it takes to creep this. Our Tauren Chieftain, because we made a mistake, is now down an entire level. And we can take a look at the human's tech. His tier 2 finishes. His Mountain King is going to be starting. Now he has evened it up with us. And we did a fast tech. So he's got more units than us, and he's got, earlier rifles and stuff. So, big deal. A big deal, not a mistake to be overlooked. And the shamans are late, too. The shamans are real late, too. Yeah, Mountain King, even with our TC. Now is a good time for your Grunts to go back, though. Your TC's a little under halfway out. Now your Grunts should go back and be ready to creep with the TC as soon as it comes out. Your TC comes out and buys salves and speed scroll and then starts creeping right away. And your Farseer can just keep doing what he's doing. Damaging the footman, delaying the creeping. Good stuff. Keep doing what he's doing. You know that it's rifles. Well, at least I do. And you should know based off the 2 farm. And you can even see the blacksmith as well. Which means you could stay on just pure grunt shaman if you wanted. You don't have to build a bestiary. Pretty much ever. You don't have to build a bestiary until the human gets a second sanctum. Or gets a really high level mountain king. Then you're going to want things like raiders and kodos. But for now, it's totally fine. Assuming you know what I know, Ston, that he's going rifles, you could just stay on grunts. Just get a war mill and start getting upgrades and just creep your TC. You could totally do that. Totally do that. This is all totally fine. Thanks, Hood. All very good. So the only mistake you've made so far is 1, your grunts were a little bit late to go back, and 2, your TC was late. And your Spirit Lodge was late. So a couple things are just slow. That's all it is. Strategically, you're totally sound. You're going to creep the Expo first. That's great. And then you could even creep like your spider camp here, and then you could like maybe creep your green or something. But you're delaying the Mountain King's creeping and creeping your TC to level 3. I would recommend at this point as well. Well, first you need a burrow, and you need a macro shamans and get a brute strength. Yeah, brute strength you need to get as well. Recommend getting a war mill early with this style, and just getting 2 upgrades on your grunts. Staying on 50 supply and trying to steal away the heal scroll and the invuln when you can. Because you have extra gold because you're not investing into a bestiary or an expansion with this sort of a style. So just investing that extra gold into heal scrolls and into lots of upgrades.
We're under attack.
Farseer should go scout. He's most likely, like this is the most typical creep camp for the human to be taking here. It's the expansion, but he might be taking the Tuskar, which is great. And you're not going to be able to stop him, but you may be able to delay him, which is what you're trying to do while you're creeping. Very good. You are expanding, which is fine. A stylistic choice. Wouldn't say like a terrible mistake or anything. It's totally fine. There's a debate to be made whether you should expand or not here. Just delaying, right? You're giving a couple wolves, but you're delaying more than you're feeding, which is great. What's more important, Expo or Scrolls? Okay, this is kind of a can of worms. It's kind of a can of worms, but let's jump into it. Okay. If you've watched episode 1, where we talk about the human side of things. So the point of this Rifle Caster 2 farm tech is to have a Mountain King out early, have a strong army very early with the Rifle Caster, and then to use this strong army to break the Orcs expansion very early. So that's the point almost of this rifle style, debatably, is to get early level 3 Mountain King, a strong 50 food army, push the expansion. So as the Orc, your reaction to seeing rifles can then be, I'm just not going to expand ever. And I'm just going to build grunts and shamans and just chill out until you transition into breakers. And then when you transition into breakers, I'll get an expansion in bestiaries because you're going to take a while to get online. So you could say almost the Orc expanding here is kind of playing into the human strategy, which is why I would say I think there's an argument to be made that when the Orc sees Rifle Caster 2 farm tech, as we're seeing here in this game, the Orc could just not expand and just chill out. The Orc can just not expand and chill out. Right? We'll talk about that at the end, Andrea, how you can submit replays. So don't worry. Right after this replay. So that's where a debate could be made. But again, I'm saying that while pros are still expanding against Rifle Caster. Like Lyn is still expanding against Rifle Caster. Focus is. So that's where I say there's definitely an argument to be made that you should still expand. But you are still playing into the human's hand a bit when you're doing it, right? All right, here we go. But it's a very complicated topic. Very complicated. So that's why I say this is totally fine. No mistake being made here necessarily. War Mill, good. Shamans, upgrades, good. You're creeping your Torn Chieftain safely. You're still delaying. Like, you're playing so good. You're playing so good. The human is allowing himself to be delayed a bit too much, I would say, here. This has honestly been like a perfect game, except for you've been a little bit slow on a couple of things. Your macro is a bit slow, your creeping is a bit slow, because you're focusing a bit too much on your Farseer control. You're probably putting a little bit too much weight on the Farseer. The Farseer is not meant to get anything done, it's just meant to delay tiny bits, and more importantly, keep a scout on the human. Whereas you can see how heavily Ston is microing the Farseer, right? But then he's forgetting to macro, and he's forgetting to creep efficiently with his TC, because he's microing the Farseer so heavily. But this is what's important. It's level 3 here that's important. The Farseer is just keeping tabs on the human. Still very, very well played. Probably getting upgrades now, too. Okay, reinforced defenses. I would say probably getting an attack upgrade would be great. Bestiary as well, which is great because when your expansion gets up, you can afford to now build raiders and Kodos, so that's good. You line up your Bestiary timing with your expansion timing. TC's level 3. I don't see how you lose this game, honestly. This is great. The way I can see you losing is the human hits a clean timing and then just sort of kills you because you take a bad fight. But all you need to do here is just get heal scrolls and an invuln, if you can. Maybe even pull the shop and do that. And then just defend your expansion. I'd expect to see the human here right now, honestly. But maybe he's creeping this? Where is the human? Let's find out. Okay, he's creeping this for level 3 Mountain King. Because he's already got his mana pot. And then he's going to come here. Your expansion's not going to get canceled. But you're probably going to try to defend the expansion and lose the fight. Is probably what's going to happen. Because again, you're kind of playing into his hand by going expansion against Riflecaster. But let's see what happens. I would say a good play here would be, this is getting to be a little high level, but you pull the shop with the Farseer, or you pull the shop with like the Shaman, and then you run in from the top and snag the heal scroll and the invuln. Because you know you're going to get pushed around this timing. You know the human. Right now it's 9 minutes and 17 seconds into the game. You know around 8.5 to 9 minutes is when the human's going to be ready to push. And we can see 9 minutes into the game, the human's ready to push with 44 supply. He could be 48. 1+ on the upgrades, probably Dispel on his priests. Yep, Dispel on his priests. He could have mana pots already. So we want to be getting ready for a fight, not taking unnecessary risks. So pulling this and snagging the heal scroll invuln here would be a beautiful play. But a little bit high level, I would say. A little bit high level. But still, this is a big risk here. A very big risk. This is a very delicate timing right now for the Orc. Yeah, now you're taking poison damage, you gotta blow a speed scroll, you're out of position to defend your expansion, and it hasn't paid for itself. And the human just TP's out, okay. We do defend. We do defend. Alright, we want to be transferring some peons now, though. Getting some raiders out and just spamming units at this point. We've defended our expansion. We just get heal scrolls and get up to 60, 65 supply as early as possible. That's all we need to do as the Orc. Get a burrow here, get a shop here. Just play super, super defensive. Yeah, again, a little bit slow, we see. Ston's being a little bit slow. He was slow with his Torn Chieftain. He was slow a little bit with his creeping. He's been slow getting heal scrolls and invulns, and now he's slow saturating the gold mine when he should be bringing 4 peons here immediately to saturate the gold mine. Right, a little bit slow, which can cost in the long run. It can really cost.
We're under attack.
The Orc player, or the human player rather, might be putting down a second Sanctum. Like if I check his base, we might see him. Okay, never mind. He's just gonna take a fight. He's got a mana pot. He's got double mana pot. Heal scroll invuln used. You could just run away here. You could win this fight, but this would be a decent spot to just not fight in. But you're going to go for the MK focus. And you're actually going to get it. There we go. Nicely done. Found an opening, and you took it. Scroll the beast. And now you're just going for the Archmage as well. It's amazing. If you don't win this game right now, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, he taverns back and uses a potion. Now you're overextended. I see. Oh, and now your TC's dead. I see. That makes sense. Oh, passes TP. Okay, good. Good, good, good. That's pretty good. Oh, what did we see there at the end of the TP? We saw Breaker, and that's what I was pointing out before that fight started. I would expect the human player, because he failed to break my expansion, to now be putting down a second Arcane Sanctum and to be counter-expanding himself. Second Arcane Sanctum going into Breakers and hasn't counter-expanded yet, but I would expect that to be the next step for the human player, right? So we should be wary of that. How do we deal with Breakers, with Kodos? How do we deal with the expansion? Probably creeping Farseer level 3, sending Wolves. Little hit and run tactics, stuff like that. If we could snag the next heal scroll, let's see what the timing, or actually I can't check the shop. I imagine the human might have a heal scroll. Yeah, so it's going to be a little while before there's another heal scroll, but very important for us to snag that next heal scroll.
Our town is under attack.
A shop and a burrow here would be great. That's what I said to build earlier. Making sure to reinforce, because even if like 1 footman comes here, 2 footmen, if we have that burrow, that can never do anything. But say we're like creeping a red right now, and 2 footmen come, we're going to have to completely evacuate the expansion. So having that burrow early is great. You could even build that burrow before the expansion even gets up to defend this. I think would be great. You can build it as your 4th burrow, right? Or even your, yeah, get your 4th burrow. Probably hero focusing is the right play here again, and that's what we're going to go for. High Cruncher. Yeah, and then you get it. Health pot, just go for the Archmage. When in doubt, just kill his heroes. Really good. You've also confirmed there's no expansion. So you've confirmed that all you need to do is kind of hold here and you've won the game. Very good scouting. Both of these players have played crazy good so far. Like, for 1400 MMR, like, I almost think you're lying about your MMR. Level 4. No need to overcommit. What you can do is just take it real passively, go back, heal, pull the peons off gold for a little while and put them over here, and then re-engage with full health and more mana, I think would be a great choice. Not feeling the need to overcommit. And the human player backs off. I mean, human player, honestly, there could have killed all the peons, but not. Getting some raiders would be great here. I honestly prefer getting a raider before the first Kodo, but, you know. It's preference. Okay, the human is coming back in to kill the peons. Which is a good play from him, even though his Mountain King's not back. Is a good play because he knows you have to heal. This is something Hitman told me against human, which I think is a cool point. Against human, when you take fights, you have a speed scroll here, right? You're either 100% in or 100% out. So you're either speed scrolling in, going for a stomp, triple devour with these Kodos and purging the out of position rifles, or you're running away and trying to heal up, well, you know, losing a few peons. You're either 100% in or 100% out in this matchup against human. You could even say that generally about Orc, you know? But I thought that was a really cool thing Hitman told me. So, like, when you go for a fight against human, like 100% speed scroll, stomp, purge everything out of position, just go for it. All right, but the expansion's secured. Again, we should be scouting. Is he expanding here? Is he creeping this red camp and expanding? Has he crept this red camp? We know he probably hasn't. I mean, there's not a real chance he's done that, but you gotta be scouting the expansions, right? Breaking upkeep is good. Heal scrolls are necessary because that Mountain King is pretty spooky. Pulling peons off lumber. Going tier 3, debatable. Tier 3 is debatable. You don't really get much out of it against human. Because you can get like a Kodo upgrade, you could get Bloodlust, not too useful. You can get Orb, not too useful. With this style, tier 3, I would much rather you just keep building units. Just spam units. Get heal scrolls, right? Double invuln, double heal scroll, invis pot, mana pot. Lots of things you could spend your gold on that are more valuable than a tier 3 tech. Alright, here he comes.
We're under attack.
Do we see an expansion from the human? No, we do not. So he's very much all in. We don't know that he's this all in. He could have an expansion himself at this point. But as it stands, still in a decent position. Oh. See, the thing that's happened here, this is still a pretty winnable fight, honestly. But we've traded a lot of units for heroes, and then he just rebuilt them from the... We got a Tavern Revive once, but then he just rebuilt this from the altar. And you lost a bunch of units and a bunch of gold and peons and stuff, and he didn't really lose too many units. He just lost his heroes. Still winnable, though. Just don't lose your Farseer. You already popped the heal scroll. One Chain Lightning. Oh, yeah. Pretty good micro, honestly. Like, this is still a one game. Just, like, back off now. Heal up your heroes. You know, rebuild those peons. But you don't need to rebuild them right away. Yeah, this is nicely done. Like, what's the human? The human's at, like, what? Maybe 40 supply max? He's at 51? Where are his units? Oh, my God. 3 breakers around? Fair enough. Alright.
Our town is under attack.
Looked better than it was. Oh, because he has supply in the Kodos. There we go. He's got 6 supply in the Kodos. There we go. 6 supply in the Kodos, 6 supply producing right now. It's still good. You're playing passive. You're transferring more peons. You're healing up. I don't know how you lose this game, honestly. Short of losing your heroes, like the Expo's going to go down now. I think you could have probably maybe done a better job trying to defend it. Like, for instance, repairing with peons earlier. And engaging a bit earlier there. But since you're tier 3, you could tiny. Because you're... I would say don't break upkeep and go for a tiny here. Because you're still in a great position. And keep spamming those Chain Lightnings. Don't even summon wolves in these fights. Just literally spam Chain Lightning over and over again on the casters. What's the best counter to Mass Breakers? Kodos and Wind Riders. So I would say 2 to 3 Kodos. And then getting a couple Wind Riders. And Raiders are good as well. Getting like 1 Raider. It's kind of an annoying army to micro. But yeah, generally Kodos. And then secondary would be Wind Riders. Because they don't shoot up. And you have shamans to deal with the water elementals that do shoot up. Now you go back and you tiny. Oh my God, you have a Tauren. Alright, going into Taurens. Cancel this Tauren, get a tiny, guarantee the win. Guarantee the win. Really, if you lose this game, I don't know how. Like, there's been some mistakes in, like, losing a couple too many units in the fight. You maybe could have saved that expansion. You maybe could have been a little bit faster a few times macro-wise. But really, this should be a one game for you. The Mountain King might get level 5. Let's see. Is he going to get level 5 off this red camp? No, he's nowhere near level 5. He's got double mana pot. Gold mines are still decent, so... Yeah, 45 against 49. You really should be winning this game. Definitely need a heal scroll. And definitely should be tiny great hauling instead of building this Tauren. He's going to get the heal scrolls. And he's got double mana pot. Ooh. I'll probably lose the TC here, maybe. Not really using speed scrolls to engage. Okay, now you're using them, which is good. Oh, that's a dead mage. Yup. Alright, TC level 5. Oh my God, the claps, though. Bloodlusting in front of breakers. Oh, the TC dies. That's a much more valuable kill for the human than it is for the orc, the archmage. Honestly, if you just are attacking here with everything, all these breakers die. If you just attack with everything. There you go, you're eating. Just literally attack move with everything. Ooh. Unfortunate. Still, yeah, TC can come back for Aura. That's good. He's got no Bolt. Purge. Yeah, that's a dead mage again. Be wary that he has mana for a bolt now. He's got mana for a bolt. Okay. Oh no, you read it back in. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no, do you have a purge? Oh my lord. Oh Jesus. The TC lived too though. Can he afford a potion? He can't afford a potion. He's got to sell the claws to get a potion. Oh, this is crazy. This is a good replay to end on. This is a real good replay to end on. Oh my god. Honestly, this is a case of both players played this game pretty well and definitely made some mistakes. But I don't think there are any like huge sweeping strategical errors from either player, really. Just some mechanical errors and maybe being a bit slow sometimes. But looking at this game, this is just a nice game, honestly. Especially considering the MMR that you told me. Like, this is just a really nice game from you guys. A blocking? That was a purge. Now it's dead. The TC's dead as well, though. No, please. Okay. TC lives. Just run away. Just run away. And now what you do, you go kill the altar with your units. You run away with the TC. You know he's got no gold to Tavern Revive, most likely. Because he just Tavern Revived his Archmage before. The Archmage is probably... Yeah, you go kill... You send these units, go kill that altar. You heal up the TC. Your Farseer is going to be out in a second. GG, game's over. What a crazy game. Still, I would say, you're still in a winning position right now. Still in a winning position. The TC is about to be 6. You could definitely sell items and buy a tiny in this position as well, because this is a cool thing. You know he lost both heroes. He lost his Archmage, and then about a minute later he lost his MK, right? So he doesn't have the gold to Tavern Revive both, most likely, or either, because, okay, he does. Never mind. But what I was going to say, his Mountain King's stuck behind the Archmage. So you have a lot of time before he's ready to fight. So in this time, you could tiny and probably be like 60, 70 supply by the time he pushed, right? These are just replays people submitted me. Kodos, okay. Like, look at the micro. Humans microing against the Kodos. Alright. Oh, and this Breaker, you know what? That's going to give level 6 to the TC. As long as the Farseer doesn't steal the XP, this Breaker will be level 6. So as long as you keep that Kodo nearby... Oh yeah, you'll get it off this anyway. Oh yeah, this is totally one. This is a 1 game. This is a 1 game for sure. And very nicely. I would say this is a case both players played well for their MMRs. And they were very evenly skilled, both players. And I don't think either made huge mistakes. Honestly, they both just lost. There were small things, but they both just lost heroes when they shouldn't have. Like, every mistake these players made this game, you could, like, argue the other side of it. Like, this is going to happen, and he might... Yeah, he's going to lose his Farseer. Oh, maybe not. Speed scroll. Yep. Alright, this is game over. There we go. And a very nice game. That was 1,400 MMR, he said. 1,400. I don't believe it, personally. Very nicely done. Yeah, but like I said, no huge mistakes, really. No huge mistakes. Both players played great. Like, what was turning the tables in that game was just one player would lose a hero, and then the other player would lose a hero, and then whoever was losing the heroes was kind of pushed back. The human could have done some things better strategically. I think getting a counter expansion up and trying to creep their MK to level 5 instead of just pushing would have been good. And, of course, a couple things from the Orc, maybe not expanding when you see Rifle Caster, and then expanding a little later. Going for more Wind Riders as opposed to more Kodos might be good as a mixture. Getting one Raider as well. Trying to prioritize getting heal scrolls. Right? Prioritize getting heal scrolls and invulns, especially on one-shot maps. Trying to save your expansion and bring peons a bit earlier. Building a burrow and a shop close by. Those would all be little improvements you could make, but there's not one big error you made, right? Like you didn't go mass Bat Riders or something, you know? Or Mass Raiders. What about Headhunters? Yeah, I would recommend watching TheoryCraft episode 11 to figure out how Lynn plays against human, because I do think that is the definitively best style against human currently. But this replay is from before that tournament, I believe. So, all right, that's it. That's all the replays. Some people were asking in the chat, how do I get my replay analyzed? Well, I will tell you. Well, here we go. You can email me right here. Or you can go to this website address and then go to Discord and then go to TheoryCraft, right? You can go there, go to backtowarcraft.com, scroll down to the bottom, find the Discord, and then join the TheoryCraft channel, and you can @ me in there and send me the replay. What I'd recommend for the format of naming the replay is put your name, then put your race, and then put your MMR. And that's it. I just need your name, the race you play, and what your MMR is. And that's it. And most likely I'll be doing it next month. I do these always the second week of every month. We're doing it the third Thursday of this month because we had a little bit of a schedule change up, but normally the second of every month. That just occurs in replays, the reinforced defenses bug. Just occurs in replays. I believe when you have Fog of War off, it sometimes doesn't load it. And that's it. That's the show. That was a long one, guys. That was a long one. We're at over 3 hours. This might end up being the longest show we've ever done, but it's good. It's good. This was really good replays. I'd say this is the highest quality replays I've ever been sent. Was this batch. What's next Thursday? Next Thursday will be Night Elf. I'm probably going to do Foggy, how he plays against Happy. What's my MMR? Right now, 1850. 1850 with like a maximum of like 1900 is my MMR. So not very good. But yeah, those replays are great, guys. And these sort of episodes are really dependent on the quality of replays that get sent. So thank you for that. So how many games this season? I think I have like 40 this season. Something like that. Looking for players to play in team with? Yeah, I would go to this link, gym.backtowarcraft.com. If you're looking for some newer players to play with, go there. Let me make sure that link works. Yeah, that link works. So go to that link. Well, I would say it's not very good for somebody who has a show talking about strategy for 3 hours every week, right? And tells other people how to play. That's why I would say my MMR is not too high. For doing what I do, you could almost argue it should be higher, but here we are. Here we are. All right. So that was good. That was long. Yeah, Night Elf week next week. Same time, same place. Thursday. We have an interview at the end of the month. Interview at the end of the month, which I will announce next week who I'm interviewing, and I'm very excited about this interview, guys. So make sure to tune in next week to figure out who the interview is. I, of course, I'm not announcing it right now because I don't want to put the person in a position where then they say no, and I'm like, oh, okay. I already announced it, so that's why I'm going to announce next week. Gym link doesn't work. Really, it worked for me. Gym.backtowarcraft.com. It worked for me. Any hints? European. They are European. Yeah, it's hard to see the dot. Gym.backtowarcraft.com. There we go. This font, not too easy to see. And shout out, of course, to our patrons. Exclamation point Patreon. You can also go to this link, which would be patreon.com/backtowarcraft. And we have 6 tiers on that Patreon. Go check it out. At least, if you got the time, go check it out. If you got the money, we really appreciate the support. It keeps the whole train rolling, not just for me, but for Bidu and for, of course, Neo and Remo, more importantly. Keeps the train rolling. You can go there, check it out. There's 6 tiers. and you get a shout out at the end of the stream for one of these tiers. So shout out to the €500 Golden Goat, Nubby Quakes, of course, and the $50 Midas patrons, Toxie, Ivan, Bersanko, Nem182, Inscription, and the $25 Profit tiers, Donalaire, J Gats123, and N Pedroot. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for watching and supporting and watching on YouTube, Twitch. Appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week for Night Elf Week. 3.5 hours. There we go. Why not? Longest show ever. Let's do it. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out. Cheers.